It's August 12th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is World Elephant Day. Intelligent, family-oriented, great memories, and they enjoy a wide range of emotions. The day created in 2012. Also on this day in 1990, the largest dinosaur fossil, a Tyrannosaurus rex, is found in South Dakota. The creature thought to be 14 feet tall when alive. The IBM personal computer is stocked in stores for the first time in 1981. The computer had no disk drives and sold for about $1,500. Born on this day in 1930, George Soros, the Hungarian-American businessman, financier, and philanthropist. American actor Henry Fonda, dying on this day in 1982. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his final film role in the movie On Golden Pond.
At the end of our lane, I couldn't remember where the old town road was.
I'm CJ Papa, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Abdul El-Sayed won Michigan's recent primary for the United States Senate seat that is open in Michigan. He's the most radical Democratic nominee for the Senate since the Civil War. He'll face GOP Congressman and Army veteran, FBI special agent as well, Mike Rogers, in the fall. El-Sayed campaigns with an Islamist supporting extremist by the name of Hassan Piker, who's also a racist and a misogynist. That El-Sayed hates the state of Israel is not open for debate. He does. Most Jews and many non-Jews believe that El-Sayed is anti-Semitic to the core. Rogers versus El-Sayed is the most important race of 2026. Michigan's collective common sense will be tested over the next 3 months. Will they vote for an experienced, responsible, serious legislator who understands the world and America's role in it and support Mike Rogers? Or will they vote for the radical who cares for, from the river to the sea, more than he does the national security of the United States? My money is on Mike Rogers.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1783, the Revolutionary War was nearly over, but America's future remained uncertain. Officers in the Continental Army were angry. Congress had failed to provide promised pay, and some considered using the Army's power to force the government's hand. George Washington understood their frustration, but he also knew the liberty they had fought to win could be destroyed by the very army that secured it. Washington confronted his officers and urged them to choose honor, patience, and loyalty to the Republic over rebellion. He could have used their anger to increase his own power. Instead, he used his influence to restrain it. Power asks what it can take. Character asks what duty requires. Washington's lesson still stands. Freedom survives when leaders place principle above ambition and remain faithful to God, country, and the people they serve.
Rick Borick talks about the risk of being in the stock market right near retirement.
It's easy to drive around with no seatbelt on if you never think you're going to have an accident, right? And you go, well, it's never going to go down. I don't need protection for my portfolio. We're a big fan of getting those gains, but we're also a bigger fan of not taking huge losses.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crestcom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business. Even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
You're probably listening to this in your car, so let me ask you. Would you drive without insurance? Of course not. So why is your retirement portfolio unprotected? Gold is portfolio insurance. It helps de-risk your savings when markets get unpredictable. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of Americans do exactly that, with no high-pressure sales and thousands of 5-star reviews. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making any investment decisions.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1783, the Revolutionary War was nearly over, but America's future remained uncertain. Officers in the Continental Army were angry. Congress had failed to provide promised pay, and some considered using the Army's power to force the government's hand. George Washington understood their frustration, but he also knew the liberty they had fought to win could be destroyed by the very army that secured it. Washington confronted his officers and urged them to choose honor, patience, and loyalty to the Republic over rebellion. He could have used their anger to increase his own power. Instead, he used his influence to restrain it. Power asks what it can take. Character asks what duty requires. Washington's lesson still stands. Freedom survives when leaders place principle above ambition and remain faithful to God, country, and the people they serve.
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.
That doesn't matter anymore. Goldilocks set us up with new managed access control. We're keyless now. Everyone has a card or fob. Even their phone works.
Huh. You don't have to worry about people copying keys either.
Yeah, never again. Goldilocks allows me to handle everything from my phone or laptop. I can see who came into the building, when they left, restrict their access at night. I can grant temporary access to visitors, too. It takes 30 seconds to add or remove someone.
That sounds a lot safer and simpler.
Stop guessing who has access to your building. Set up access controls today by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600 or visit GoldilocksInc.com. Goldilocks, security under your control.
Insurance came out about the roof. Offered us $15,000. I was thrilled.
I know it seems like a lot, but I'm not sure that number is that generous. Insurance is usually going to lowball you.
I mean, I already found 2 companies who could replace it for that.
Sure, contractors will make it fit that budget, but they're cutting corners to make it work.
How's that?
Cheap materials, lower grade shingles with a poor warranty, reusing old flashing, cheap underlayment.
How would I even know?
You wouldn't. That's exactly why I'd call New Edge Improvement. They'll go through your insurance quote line by line, catch what's being cut, and fight to get you covered. You have a beautiful home, and New Edge Improvement will do a quality install and help you get the roof you're owed. One that matches the quality of what you had.
Thanks. I'll give New Edge Improvement a call.
New Edge Improvement. Visit them today at newedgeimprovement.com. Again, that's newedgeimprovement.com and tell them AM 560 sent you.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun along with a thunderstorm, making it feel humid. There will be fog in the morning. The high will reach 82 degrees. Tonight, it will be mostly cloudy and humid with a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas. The low will be around 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, surprising result in Wisconsin. Let's talk about the midterm primaries to kick off the show. So, Francesca Hong, the DSA certified candidate and certified loon, loses apparently. Now, I'd still wait for all the absentees to come in and be counted here because David Crowley, the Milwaukee County executive, who has been declared the victor by about 3,309 votes. You know, he had suspended his campaign. This is a guy who wasn't getting any traction. It was a wild primary if you go back and look at what transpired in Wisconsin with front runners and erstwhile previous statewide elected officials and candidates like Mandela Barnes dropping out, suspending their campaign right up until the last few weeks. And the Evers establishment, I mean, the policy separation isn't that stark, except for these things that the DSA wants to do, like overthrow the federal government and essentially discard the Constitution. But it's just in terms of the slow walk of soft socialism, there really isn't any like real world distinction between the Tony Everses and the Francesca Hongs. Tony Evers, a tool of the teachers union in Wisconsin. We know all about that in Illinois. But anyway, it wasn't really until the closing weeks that Evers and the establishment, in scare quotes, ultimately settled on Crowley and said, this is the guy that we're going to have to back. Crowley came out and, Evers came out and endorsed him in order to stop Francesca Hong, who we don't think can beat Tom Tiffany in a general election. And that pivot, even late in the game, seems to have done the job. 312-642-5600, particularly for those listening up there north of the Cheddar Curtain in Packerland. Give us a call with your perspective. I'd be interested to hear it. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. And I'll tell you what, this Crowley guy, I haven't followed him very closely. Milwaukee County executive, not a bad springboard to statewide office. Just ask Scott Walker. So it is interesting. He's a young guy. He's got a pretty good story that he started to tell. And as he started to tell it outside of Milwaukee County, he started to, and as there were open concerns being lodged against Francesca Hong and key players in the DSA Politburo declining to endorse her, like Comrade Bernie and AOC, just staying out of the race. And obviously, her position continued to atrophy underneath. Her position continued to atrophy, and the sand was shifting under her feet, and the pollsters certainly didn't realize it. By the way, I know the polls are always wrong. The polls are always wrong. Well, one candidate's supporters wanted to respond to the polls, and it seems like others did not. It was almost like the silent Trump supporter effect, because she went into this race with a significant double-digit lead, like in the high teens and low 20s, and she loses by 0.4 of a point at present. But just a little background on Crawley, because this is a real pickup opportunity for Republicans in Wisconsin, not only a governorship, which is important, and maintaining control of the state legislature there, which is important, but also obviously with an eye towards 2028. And Tom Tiffany's a pretty good candidate. But Crawley, certainly the way it sets up, will be a more difficult challenge than Hong. This is what Crawley had to say on the Pod Save America podcast in the closing weeks of the campaign.
And as I travel across this state, people are afraid of socialism in Wisconsin. And so they want somebody who's going to be pragmatic, who's going to get things done. And that's why I believe and truly understand why Governor Evers thought that I was the best candidate. I've had the opportunity to work with him for a very long time. And he trusts my judgment. He trusts my leadership and my abilities.
Is the main problem with her candidacy, in your view, Hong's association with the DSA, or is it something else about her candidacy that makes her a particularly vulnerable Democrat against Tiffany?
When I think about this race, I don't look at myself as them as opponents. I'm not running against anybody, right? I'm running for the votes of Wisconsinites across this state. And so I'm focused on what I've been able to deliver. I'm the only candidate that not only served, in the state legislature as a state representative, as a legislative staffer, so I know exactly how our state capitol works. But I've been leading the largest community, largest county in the state of Wisconsin, representing 19 different cities and villages, close to 1 million people. And I know that folks want somebody who's not just going to talk about a vision as far as what we need to do in the future, but they want to know who's going to deliver. And I think at the end of the day, the foundation of this campaign is who's going to be able to get things done. And I'm the only candidate in this race to do so.
Well, that may be the typical platitudes you hear from a establishment politician, but that's exactly what they were going for, to contrast with Hong. And somebody afraid of socialism. I'm a guy who gets things done. What are those things? Well, let's not get into the details. And it just provided the contrast. But I mean, again, so Missy Hughes was a functionary for Evers. She was like an economic development person. She drops out. Then the guy you just heard from, who apparently won last night, he drops out. Then Sarah Rodriguez, who is going to be their person to stop Hong, then she drops out because her campaign manager is lying about her fundraising. Then Crawley gets back in. Then Evers endorses him. And then Crawley makes up apparently 20 points in a night. I mean, okay. Elections are funny things. That's why they play the games. Mike in Green Bay, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan. I just got involved in local politics up here a couple weeks ago. I've been canvassing for a local state Senate candidate. She lost her primary last night, but I'm going to be joining Tom Tiffany's campaign starting today, again, going around doing doors. And the one thing that really irritates me is the internet was ablaze last night with all these idiots that are mad at Republicans for not crossing over and voting for Hong. Well, if I would have done that, I wouldn't have been able to vote for my own state Senate candidate that I helped try to get, And then the number two thing is, you guys dropped all of your Oppo research too early. It's like, guys, her Oppo research was her own Twitter account. I mean, this is not like Grant Platinum where he had some sleaze bags going around digging up stories about escapades of him in porta potties. It's like, Hong did this to herself, and all these idiots, these great political geniuses online, they're actually blaming Republican voters for what Democrat voters did in their own primaries. Like, guys, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you want the state to flip around the governorship, actually get out and do the doors and put in the work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's spot on, Mike. And we're going to do these double bank shots and we're so clever. And you're absolutely right. Francesca Hong, and this is the reason that you had people staying away from her, because there was this split. So let Wisconsin take care of Wisconsin at this stage. But it was every day right up until yesterday. It wasn't, the deep dive on Francesca Hong. Yeah, I mean, the stuff that came out about the failed restaurant and the and maybe she has literally has a mental health condition. There's some, that was flying around. But I mean, it really was just her idiotic statements, indefensible statements. When she was asked, is there any separation between her and the DSA platform, which is basically End America as we know it? She's like, I wouldn't abolish the Senate, I guess. I mean, that doesn't exactly inspire confidence. And if you were listening and saw some of the people doing MOS interviews of Dem primary voters up in Wisconsin, you heard at least split decisions among, dyed-in-the-wool leftists. And in places like Dane County, Madison, say, I don't think Hong can win. So I guess I'm going to vote for that Crowley person because Tony Evers endorsed him, and I'm a teachers union apparatchik, for example. And let me tell you, I mean, the Crowley play. This is selling narratives, so I'm not stipulating to the authenticity of it. But does this origin story that he was out promoting and that was circulating online in the closing weeks, does it remind you of anyone? David Crowley is a 40-ish black man, a nice-looking family, 3 kids. You just heard his comments about socialism on Pod Save America. Sounds reasonable. And this is his origin story.
I didn't grow up in the halls of power. I grew up here, and here, and here. Evicted 3 times as a kid, having to pick up yourself and everything you own off the curb. It'll break you, or it'll make you. I'm David Crowley, and I didn't want any child to go through that. So I became a community organizer. I went on to serve
community organizer,
where I saw what happens when extremists had total control. And I'd had enough. So at 33, I returned home, elected to lead the largest county in Wisconsin, helping create thousands of new jobs, cutting our carbon emissions in half, balancing the budget, all while delivering the largest property tax cut in our history, and convincing Madison to return more money right back to every local community across the state. But the progress we've made isn't nearly enough. With costs shooting up, we're all getting less, even if you're making more. And Donald Trump's chaos and cruelty means that the Wisconsin that we cherish will perish unless we unite and fight back.
I mean, does that sound familiar? I'm not putting him in the White House quite yet. I don't even want him in the State House, obviously, in Madison, or the governor's mansion, I guess I should say. But Tom Tiffany is going to have to do a lot better than he was going to have to do against Francesca Hong against this guy. Just based on those 2 clips alone, one knows that. And meanwhile, as to our friend Mike from Green Bay's point, this is what Hong was out there doing. Just quickly, to give you an example, on why she supports defunding police. While he was talking about the fear, Wisconsin cheeseheads fear socialism, and we got to be pragmatic and problem solvers. She's on a podcast with a MSNBC washout Islamist, Wajahat Ali, talking about defunding the police. And she doesn't even have basic facts right.
What for you when it came to defunding the police? What was your actual when you supported it? What did you mean by that? In your own words, why did you support that?
That was right after the murder of Jacob Blake.
He's alive.
And we just had another police murder in my hometown of Madison of Corey Ruiz, and this did not.
You don't even have to get beyond. Jacob Blake is paralyzed, but he's alive. No police officers in the Jacob Blake shooting were charged with any crimes. The Ruiz shooting that happened supposedly right after Jacob Blake happened this year and is still under investigation 6 years after Jacob Blake. And also, so it's under investigation, no officers have been charged. I mean, so, the quality of the candidate matters. And if you want to run out there, even in the with the DSA being ascendant, and self-immolate in front of a camera or a microphone every day, then that's going to wear on the electorate. And that seems to be at least part of the story with Francesca Hong. All right, coming up at 5:38, the good news is we still have El Sharia in Michigan. Oh, and we added Peggy Flanagan in Minnesota. We'll continue our midterm primary talk, 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan, good morning in the QC Kinetics newsroom. For us here in the Chicago area, cleanup underway again this summer after multiple tornadoes hit the Chicago area.
Well, this street was a beautiful street because it had such mature trees, and now our mature trees are just, I don't know, it's like an apocalypse.
Catherine Casillas outside of her home in Flossmoor. The National Weather Service confirming at least 3 tornadoes touched down yesterday, including one in southern Cook County. 2 were confirmed in Will County. Damage reported throughout the area. Down trees, poles, power lines. Thousands in the dark this morning. 148,000 ComEd customers, many south of I-55, Chicago Heights with 35,000 yet to be restored. Orland Park, all the way to Munster, Indiana, where 1 of 3 confirmed tornadoes touched down. They've seen many ComEd crews, but it's Northwest Indiana this morning with the story. 275,000 customers in the dark. Hard-hit Valparaiso with around 25,000 customers yet to be restored. Around 10,000 in Sherrville, 4,000 in St. John, 14,000 in Portage, 10,000 in Munster, 16,000 in Maryville, Gary hard hit, Cedar Lake, Indiana hard hit. And 1 person is dead after a home explosion in Portage, Indiana.
All of a sudden, there was a tremendous explosion. And my wife said she saw through the window of the garage, the house lifted up and came crashing back down.
The blast happened yesterday in the 6600 block of Harrison Avenue. Portage Fire Captain Rob Maynard.
Unfortunately, when these large trees come down, they do disrupt the underground piping, which can cause some problems with the meters in the homes.
And all 3 are confirmed dead due to storm damage across the Midwest. And many first day of school celebrations are canceled in Northwest Indiana. Gary, Portage Township, Crown Point, all canceling classes as campuses assess damage. Here in Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson is trying to ban more data centers in the city.
The city is taking steps now to protect Chicagoans from the impacts of data center development while we undertake the comprehensive work that's necessary to establish stronger, permanent protections for our communities.
Johnson signing an executive order. There are already 39 data centers in Chicago. 1 man charged in a deadly hit and run last month in the northwest suburbs. Authorities say Marcos Moreno was driving a pickup truck when he hit a bicyclist on July 6th on Route 20 between Big Timber and Gast roads. The bicyclist died at the scene. And a motion to dismiss the case against former FBI Director James Comey is drawing some local attention to the role of respected former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Patrick Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is now helping lead Comey's defense. The Justice Department has until later this month to respond to Comey's request that that case be dismissed. Well, on Popat night, the White Sox blew a 3-run lead to the Reds. No divine intervention in a 5-4 extra inning loss at home. Cubs outslugged the Nationals 8-6 in the series opener from D.C. And not so good news for the Bears. They'll be without one of their top DBs for a good chunk of the upcoming season. Kobe Bryant will miss at least 4 months following knee surgery. The news service of Mattress Firm still sleeping on that old bed? Mattress Firm sleep experts can help you choose the perfect upgrade. They'll guide you every step of the way. Shop today, save big. It's their best sale of the year, and they make sleep easy. Dan Proft and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And in 2 minutes, we'll have our AccuWeather forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Mike Gallagher chooses his words carefully.
They're going to destroy President Trump's agenda with these DSA freaks who are winning elections all over America. And yes, I use that word carefully. After much consideration, freakish is the only way to describe a platform that advocates for the abolition of the presidency, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the borders, no police. These are a bunch of nutcases.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Temperatures are rising, and so are concerns about inflation, market volatility, and taxes. Revisit your financial plan this summer. VestGen Wealth Partners work with individuals to develop personalized plans that help navigate changing conditions with confidence. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com to learn more.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found Tax Relief Advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun along with a thunderstorm, making it feel humid. Some fog may linger in the morning hours. The temperature will reach a high of 82. Tonight, the skies will be mostly cloudy and humid with a chance of a thunderstorm in certain areas. The low will be around 70. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, talking about the midterm primary results yesterday. The surprise in the Wisconsin Dem governor's primary with Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley apparently defeating DSA favorite Francesca Hong by a little bit more than 3,000 votes. But again, he, that wrinkle of him suspending his campaign and then restarting his campaign, I just wonder how that impacted early voting and the spread between Hong and him when all the votes are tabulated, including the absentees. And I don't know. I haven't seen good reporting on exactly how many votes are still left to count, but all you see is sort of 95% plus of votes have been tabulated. So 3,200 votes. we have seen stranger things in the world of politics and ballot counting, haven't we? So anyway, the fact that it was as close as it was, though, still was surprising. So does that mean the DSA has been neutered and Republicans won't be able to run against that ascendant movement that has still, in my mind, effectively taken over the Democrat Party? Well, by the way I described it, I certainly don't believe that's the case. I think they'll have ample opportunity to present the contrast between the most radical elements of that party, because those radical elements are in charge of that party, and cowering those who disagree for the most part. Maybe not the rank and file voters, at least some of them, as per the results in Wisconsin. But the opinion leaders and financiers who were either in their camp or to some extent on the sidelines, we'll see. They're still very high-profile candidates, including for Senate, since that's one of the chambers that hangs in the balance at the federal level, that are representative of this problematic, if you're not a neo-Bolshevik, problematic takeover of that major party. And chief among them is Abdul Rahman al-Sayed, who doesn't like, the whole Barack Hussein Obama treatment, and he sees that as a not so subtle slight.
The allies are launching is already more bitter. All you got to do is look at the ads you're already watching on TV, started today. They think that you want to use my whole name against me. Mike, listen, man, if you can't say the name, it's Abdurrahman, keep the name out your damn mouth. I'll be happy to give you lessons.
No.
But they understand that the only way that they think they can win is to drag us into the mud, to believe the worst about each other.
No, the way that you can win is by basically the same approach that Crowley took with Hong in Wisconsin. Step back, give el-Sayed the microphone, and just have him keep talking. And have people ask him what he does and doesn't believe these days. Because El-Sharia, it should be included as part of his full name, has said, among other things, this: when I die and stand before God and go through everything I did in my life, I don't want to say I did it the easy way instead of the Sharia compliant way, not because of fear, but because of obligation. Sharia is his life, it's his obligation, and that's what he'll bring to the table as United States Senator. He used to say these things in less hushed tones, but he's decided to let some people edit his life. And that's not me saying it. No. That's CNN reporting on the K-File, reporting on el-Sayed and the cleanup that's being done on his X account, so he has fewer problems than Ms. Hong experienced, and the videos on YouTube that are being relegated to privacy so as not to bring up uncomfortable past statements, very Hong-like actually, about his problems with Americans celebrating Independence Day, about replacing the Second Amendment with a right to health insurance enshrined in the Constitution. Those are the things, along with his commitment to Sharia, that he would prefer don't get centralized by Mike Rogers and Senate Republicans. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. And, of course, the other dynamic here is his good friend Hassan Piker, who is campaigning with him the same way he is was campaigning with Hong, showed up with Hong, and Omar also showed up for Hong. They're not walking away from Hassan Piker, which is something they might consider. But first, CNN on El Sayed.
We had previously covered on this show that he deleted a lot of tweets about defund the police. Now, what we have found now is more than 100 of his YouTube videos on his YouTube channel that appear to have been made private. And one thing that is worth noting here is that his campaign now says that these don't reflect his beliefs today.
Of course not.
But one thing that's worth pointing out is this really isn't a distant archive. These are comments from the last 4 years, with one of these videos posted as recently as 2 years ago. I want to run through a few of them of what we found. Now, you did mention that 4th of July video. You can see the taken down video right there from July 2024. El Sayed cited air pollution from Detroit, fireworks, chemicals used in fireworks, PTSD among veterans, and risk to children and pets. And he asked if Americans could find another way to celebrate. And Aaron, that is really just one example. In another that we found from April 2023 after a school shooting in Tennessee, El Sayed floated replacing the Second Amendment right to bear arms with a constitutional right to health care, saying, what if we tweaked the Constitution, amended the amendment, and instead of the right to bear arms, we changed it to the right to have health care? In another September 2022 video that we found, El Sayed also blasted Republicans for focusing on the southern border, calling it an issue they, quote, love to flog, adding in, quote, it doesn't even make the top 5 among issues that people in the United States actually care about that affect their lives.
Mm-hmm. And before going back to Piker, since he's central to all of these candidates because of his following, incredible following. It's incredible he has a following, and it's apparently rather sizable because it pays him handsomely. Peggy Flanagan, who won the primary for United States Senate in Minnesota, that open seat that Klobuchar is vacating to run for governor. And, Michelle Tafoya is sort of an interesting candidate. And I know Minnesota is a bit of a mirage. We always think we're just a few points away, and it never seems to be the case. Don't forget, it's the only state that Walter Mondale won. So there's always that holdout. But Peggy Flanagan is, perhaps not representative of a lot of the state outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul. She won the Senate primary going away. This is her approach to that increasingly problematic Somali immigrant community when you see all of the dynamics under a microscope, particularly fraud related. And it elicits conversations about a number of topics, but fraud being at the top of the list. This is Peggy Flanagan's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil approach.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota. I think about my friendship with Nimco. We've been friends for almost 25 years. And when I think of being part of Minnesota and growing up here, the Somali community has always been a part of my Minnesota. So I want to just encourage the community to know that we're with you. We've got your back. I am here shopping today, and just encourage other folks to show up, support our Somali businesses, support our immigrant neighbors. And I know that things are scary right now. And just know that there are more people who are looking out for you. There are more people who are here to support you than you know. I will continue to stand with the Somali community to be with you and to do all I can to return the friendship and community that the Somali community has shown me. Thank you so much.
Well, she's the Lieutenant Governor, so she's also on the hook for all that has been uncovered under the Walz regime. And that's a great angle for Tafoya to prosecute. She's also Open Borders. So if you like what Open Borders have done to Minneapolis, St. Paul, then you're going to love Peggy Flanagan, because she doesn't like ICE. She doesn't like law enforcement, I'll tell you that.
our neighbors are being disappeared. P.S. Without due process, it is just called kidnapping. Then show up and use your voice. Put your body on the line.
That was her directive towards the Minneapolis-St. Paul population during the surge of ICE enforcement there. ICE kidnappings, the kind of rhetoric you're used to from DSA types, but it doesn't make it any more responsible. And put your body on the line? Is that a call to violence? Isn't that what Alex Preddy did? Put his body on the line? 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. Jerry in Norridge, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. Have you noticed what's going on up in the state of Nebraska with the Senate race? Chuck Schumer and the rest of the Democrats are throwing their weight behind independent candidates so they don't have to slate a Democrat against a Democratic socialist to run against a Republican. That's their new strategy now. Back independents to counteract the people's disgust with these socialists. So I think that's something that we should keep our eye on.
Well, thanks for the call, Jerry. Yeah, but for the most part, we're a little past post on that here. We're in mid-August, so the primary season is soon to come to an end, and then we're on to general elections. Yeah, the independent play in Nebraska has been tried almost successfully before. So every state presents unique dynamics. Just to Hassan Piker, and reminding you who DSA is, since he's one of their central figures. This is some of what you get. And I know, again, El Sayed doesn't believe the things he believed 5 minutes ago, we're told. And he wants to make sure you don't even consider that he believed them by scrubbing his social media, as you heard from CNN reporting. And trying to minimize some of his alliances, like with Hassan Piker, by calling him, he's just a streamer. Well, again, the following and his profile on the campaign trail for these very candidates against El Sayed. And this is played clips before, but we'll play them again because they should be in circulation as it's not like a guilt by association game. It's an identification by association. This is what these individuals believe. And when El Sayed is complaining about the chemicals in the air associated with an Independence Day celebration, you think that is he's just very, very dogged about environmental protection, or he is very, very antagonistic towards America and the American idea and the American form of government.
It's unconstitutional. Man, you can and suck me from the back, okay? I the Constitution. I wipe my ass with the Constitution. It's a piece of paper, dude. Shut the up. Mother the Constitution and mother this country, okay? You stupid bitch.
That's the quality of the content you get from Hassan Piker on his stream. That's El Sayed's bestie. That's the guy who was on the trail with Francesca Hong, like last week in the run-up to yesterday's primary. That's a guy who makes reportedly $200,000 a month in subscriptions on his Twitch streaming program, who, like El Sayed and so many other of these DSA Muslim candidates, has said in one form or the other that Israel deserved October 7th and America deserved 9/11. If the Republican Party and these statewide candidates don't frame these issues and push this choice on their respective electorates, that's political incompetence.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:06. CNN is very upset that Secret Service moved to protect the president and potentially put reporters in harm's way, used as decoys. We'll discuss this invented contretop over the president switching planes. 6:06. It's on 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
Wisconsin Democrats say no to a socialist. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Francesca Hong, who led in the polls, lost in the primary for governor, beaten by a Democrat who had dropped out of the race last month and then got back in, David Crowley, who was endorsed by outgoing Governor Tony Evers.
This was not the outcome that many had predicted. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley beat Francesca Hong by less than a percentage point. Establishment Democrats are certainly celebrating this win. They were afraid that a Hong victory would essentially hand the GOP the keys to the governor's mansion in November. Hong had faced scrutiny over previous social media posts. Crowley will now take on Republican Tom Tiffany in November.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. A progressive did win in Minnesota. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan nominated for Senate after beating Congresswoman Angie Craig by 20 points.
Trump cut 15 million people off of their health care, and Michelle Tafoya said, yes, sir.
Tafoya, a former TV sportscaster, won the Republican Senate primary. Senate Amy Klobuchar won the Democratic primary for Minnesota governor and will take on Lisa DeMuth, who defeated Trump-backed Republican Mike Lindell. The senator the president supported in South Carolina took a step toward being on the November ballot. Darlene Graham, who's running to replace her late brother Lindsey as the GOP Senate nominee.
I know he's looking down right now, smiling, though, so that gives me peace, but it's difficult.
Appointed to finish his term, Senator Graham finished first in the primary, but did not get 50%, so she'll face Congressman Ralph Norman in the GOP runoff in 2 weeks. In Connecticut, a Democratic congressman lost. John Larson, the 10th House lawmaker, primaried out this year. Luke Bronin beat Larson by 22 points. In the Iran standoff, President Trump keeps insisting U.S. controls the Strait of Hormuz shipping. He also reacted to reports he made a stealthy exit, switching planes at the NATO summit in Turkey last year.
They wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say.
It was actually last month he left Turkey. America's listening to Fox. 6:02 in Chicago. Skies are cloudy this morning, 72 degrees, and cleanup underway after multiple tornadoes strike the Chicago area.
Well, this street was a beautiful street because it had such mature trees, and now our mature trees are just, I don't know, it's like an apocalypse.
ComEd reports about 145,000 customers without power this morning. Orland Park to Munster, Indiana. The trail of destruction where one of 3 confirmed tornadoes touched down in the area. NIPSCO in northwest Indiana says they now have 275,000 customers in the dark. Several areas hard hit, including Portage, Indiana, where a home exploded after the storm swept through.
All of a sudden, there was a tremendous explosion. And my wife said she saw through the window of the garage, the house lifted up and came crashing back down.
Portage Fire Captain Rob Maynard.
Unfortunately, when these large trees come down, they do disrupt the underground piping, which can cause some problems with the meters in the homes.
Many first day of school celebrations in northwest Indiana are canceled today. Gary, Portage Township, Crown Point, among all those canceling classes as campuses assess storm damage. Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's trying to ban more data centers in the city of Chicago.
The city is taking steps now to protect Chicagoans from the impacts of data center development while we undertake the comprehensive work that's necessary to establish stronger, permanent protections for our communities.
Johnson signing an executive order, but there are already 39 data centers in the city. State officials gearing up for the start of the Illinois State Fair. Kicks off tomorrow, runs through August 23rd, and the governor will be on hand today at the fairgrounds, unveiling the Butter Cow. Chicago sports, White Sox blow a 3-run lead to the Reds in a 5-4 extra inning loss, while the Cubs outslugged the Nationals 8-6. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather comes your way next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by LeavingIL.com and by Unique Wooden Flags. WIND, Chicago.
Life moves fast, and it's easy to feel spiritually drained. That's why InTouch.org is here to help you stay grounded in God's Word every day. At InTouch.org, you'll find biblical teaching from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, free resources, and messages that speak directly to what you're facing. Whether you need encouragement, clarity, or a moment to reconnect with God, it's all right at your fingertips. Discover a place to grow your faith and find real hope at InTouch.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
6:07. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Off and running this morning with an accident in Roscoe Village, Belmont, and Damon. And in Bloomingdale, Schick Road and Gary reported an accident with injuries. The Stevenson already jammed up inbound Central through Pulaski. And due to an earlier stall on the Stevenson, you're jammed up right at Pulaski Road. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone when you download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues after we check the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center with meteorologist Jason Caterina.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun along with a thunderstorm, making it feel humid. There will be fog in the morning. The high will reach 82 degrees. Tonight, it will be mostly cloudy and humid with a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas. The low will be around 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The Secret Service acting to protect the President of the United States. This is in controversy now because Trump is the president. The story is about a story that was circulating, and then Trump confirmed it yesterday, that Trump changed planes at the behest of Secret Service in Turkey, moving from Air Force One to a separate plane because of the threat of some Iranian assassination attempt. This is what Trump had to say about it.
Well, it's only up to Secret Service. I just follow what they'd like to do. So I go by Secret Service and the military. They wanted me to go on a different flight, a different plane, equal safety, but they wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say. What's the nature of the threat? I guess there was a threat out there. I didn't really ask too much about it.
Yeah, because this is, as Trump went on to say, sort of the approach he takes to the myriad threats on his life.
No, not surprised. I have a lot of threats. I have a lot of threats that you don't know about. Any consequential president has a lot of threats. Non-consequential presidents don't get threatened. And I think that I'm maybe the most consequential president. There's nobody who's done more than me in a period of almost 6 years. There's nobody. I don't worry about anything, to be honest. Whatever it is, you know my attitude? Whatever.
Yeah, well, it's not whatever to CNN, Mr. President. They're quite upset about the claim they're making that Air Force One was full of White House staff and journalists, in reverse order of importance to them, to CNN, was used as decoys, they say. CNN reporting.
We had previously covered on this show that he
target the most secure aircraft in the entire world. And this whole ruse seems to have been put together very quickly on the ground there in Turkey by the White House Secret Service, the national security apparatus. You know, throughout that entire NATO summit, President Trump had almost seemed preoccupied with the threats on his life by Iran. They've dated back years and years, and he kept talking about them over and over. But it is really only in retrospect that we're now starting to notice signs of what was afoot. You know, for example, when reporters got on that old legacy blue and white Air Force One, they were all asked to lower their window shades, which made it so they could not see that catering truck, which we now know the president had been bundled into and moved to that other aircraft that he flew from Turkey to the UK on. We also noticed that when the old legacy Air Force One landed in the UK, it took an unusual amount of time for the doors to open and for reporters to be left off, which would have allowed time for the president to get back on the plane, only to walk off again in full view of the cameras. So it's all, I think, this very elaborate shell game that the Secret Service and the White House orchestrated. You know, the White House, in a statement from Stephen Chung, the communications director, said that, quote, as the president has said recently, there are many enemies of America who have their sights on him, and we use every tool at our disposal to address those threats. That doesn't necessarily match with the explanation that the president put out at the time for this switch in aircraft between the Qatar-donated Air Force One, which is that black and red plane, and the legacy Air Force One. He said at the time that he wanted to show it off to troops who were positioned in the UK. Now we understand that it is these threats from Iran that led to this switch. It all, I think, also led to the people who actually did fly on the blue and white plane, you know, reporters and staff, to become unwitting decoys in this ruse, which I think is disconcerting for anyone who flies on Air Force One regularly.
Yeah, and as John Berman
disconcerting. Jake Tapper, I flew to Afghan with different president on Air Force One. An insurgent missile struck Bagram runway before landing. Weather was bad, so planned Marine One trip to Kabul was scrubbed. We were with the president the whole time. Our safety wasn't treated any differently from his. We were never decoys. Obviously, the life of the president is paramount, and previous White Houses have used deception to protect the president's life. But no officials I've spoken to have ever heard of using an Air Force One full of White House staff and journalists as a decoy during an imminent threat. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. Is this outrageous conduct on behalf of Trump and Secret Service to prioritize the president's personal safety over those of over that of White House staff and journalists? Is that even what they did? I mean, I'm really struggling to find the meat to this story. I mean, I know they're good at inventing controversies that are not controversies, but I'm really struggling even to see where they have a toehold here. But J.B. Pritzker isn't. This is what he had to say on CNN, trying to help fan the flames.
How do you make sense of this? Do you think that anyone on that plane had the right to be briefed on this, even though they're not the primary security focus?
He did not need to put his staff and those reporters in harm's way. He literally could have warned them and taken them off the flight. There were other ways to handle this, but instead he was okay with the idea that maybe that plane would be shot down or maybe there was some other security threat to that aircraft. That's clearly what all of this indicates. He really doesn't give a darn about the people on that plane. Now, remember, he was also slinking away and ending up on his new Qatar paid for and apparently personally received 747. That's, a total act of corruption. He's accepting money and gifts from foreign governments. This is at a moment when people can't afford food. People aren't going to have Medicaid to cover them, to give them health care. And he's taking all those things away from them. And meanwhile, we're all talking about this ruse and what he's doing to the people around him. We all ought to be focusing on what's best for the people of the United States who are, frankly, under threat by Donald Trump and H.R. 1.
So we shouldn't be talking about the thing you're talking about? Is that what I understand, Jelly Belly? You're jawboning, trying to score cheap political points. So setting aside, the Qatar version of Air Force One for a second, I've weighed in on that. I don't like it either, but it's not personal enrichment. He accepted on behalf of the U.S. government. It's not for personal use or personal possession. So, and of course, they ran the ethics traps with White House counsel. So that's a straw man, which J.B. Pritzker is good at attacking. That's about the level of his intellect. He's got to focus on the straw man that he erects because he can't debate on the merits, and he's rarely challenged to, unfortunately, in Illinois. But is that what Trump did? He used White House staff and journalists as human shields to protect himself at their expense. I suppose if he took everybody off the flight or the flight didn't take off, then whatever the threat was, those that were making such threats or had an assassination plot afoot, apparently, would have taken notice of that. It's hard to take everybody off and put them in a catering truck and then not see Air Force One 1.0 take off. That would sort of tip off those planning nefarious acts, wouldn't it? And so the Secret Service made the call, and the president abided their call, and that's their job. As he said, he listens to the Secret Service and he listens to the military when it comes to his personal safety. And so that's what he did. And they obviously thought that this was the best play and that the idea that that Air Force One was going to be shot down. They probably didn't think it rose to that level. This is out of an abundance of caution, which is what the Secret Service's job should be. And to even raise the specter that, they could have been shot down. I mean, anything under the sun is possible, but is it probable? And is this being done at the behest of Trump, or is it being done at the behest of professionals responsible for protecting the president of the United States, whether it's President Trump or any other president? 312-642-5600. AlphaWealthGroup.com call and text line. George in Naperville.
Yes, Stan, is it possible that the president's intention was to make the press suffer the misinformation they heap on the American public?
Thanks, George. Joe, Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, I'm getting so sick and tired of this media perpetuating lies and carrying the water for the Democrats. Why didn't this reporter push back on Pritzker?
Because she's on CNN.
Well, it doesn't matter. The Qatar was given to the American people, not Trump personally. Did Trump put on his W-2? I mean, this is so ridiculous.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Robert in Bloomingdale.
Good morning. Why are we worried about a country that's been completely obliterated, completely destroyed, and has nothing? And then J.B. Pritzker, why does he care about the cost of living when under him the property taxes have doubled and people either going to pay for food or are they going to be thrown out of their home? Why are you spreading all this propaganda?
I'm spreading propaganda? Thanks for the call, Robert. Well, first of all, I mean, just in terms of your sarcasm in the direction of a potential assassination attempt orchestrated by the Iranians or Iranian-inspired actors, we had such an attempt by a plot afoot by a one-off in this country, just prosecuted this year. So because Iran's formal military has been defenestrated by the United States and they're left to acts of piracy, and, one-off strikes at regional targets, it doesn't mean that the president is completely insulated from Shia terrorists sponsored by Iran the world over, making American soil, or, in Turkey, when you have a president of Turkey, Erdogan, who calls Hamas holy warriors, that there's not exposure levels there. Don't be so ignorant or naive. You choose which description. Robert in Bloomingdale. Being silly, aren't we? It's a serious and dangerous world out there, even with our erstwhile allies of convenience like Turkey. Don't forget where he was, son. Dan in Milwaukee.
Yes, I believe the way to look at this is compare this to an assassination attempt, like in Pennsylvania. When those shots rang out, the Secret Service jumped on the president. They don't jump on reporters to protect them. Only one guy, the president. So reporters should know. If they're going to be near the president, you're taking a chance, and it's your responsibility.
Thanks for the call, Dan. But Jake Tapper thinks they should be jumping on Jake Tapper before they jump on the president, clearly. Even with his sort of hat tip to the idea the president's security is paramount. Of course, you're traveling on Air Force One. You're traveling with a guy who there have been, as we all know, serious attempts made on President Trump's life. So you get on the plane to be part of the press corps to go to Turkey in the first place. The risk is de minimis because of America's security infrastructure, but it's not zero. Matt, South Bend.
Yeah, I was going to echo the same effects of that last caller and say the Butler, Pennsylvania, what was that all about? Trump put all those people's lives in danger, but if the security force didn't do their job right, that's on them. They're doing their job, and Pritzker's just blowing air. That's terrible.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Well, hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. These leftists and anti-Trumpers in it, they are so irrational and stupid. They should listen to themselves. They're all worried about their safety now and all that when they take and do all kinds of things to take and interfere with any kind of safety net. Ticked off that Trump's not on the plane just in case it gets shot at or blown up or something. That when they're out there causing all kinds of issues where somebody would want to take out the president because of their, the way they talk about him. And things they put forth and all that. Then you got Pritzker, that fat nut, talking about the cost of this and the cost of that when he's making the cost of everything go up. These people are so irrational, and it's unbelievable.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Text from 630, if Obama or Biden had done this, Tapper would be honored by his role as a decoy. No question.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Suzanne called after hearing me explain discount points on my radio show because her son was purchasing a home in Colorado. I answered Suzanne's questions and encouraged her son to call me for a free consultation. Suzanne was so impressed with the service I provided, she wrote this 5-star Google review. Quote, I sent David an email today with a question about discount points that I heard him talk about on his radio show. And he called me back this evening with a complete explanation. I'm so impressed with his responsiveness and knowledge. Thank you, Suzanne, for the amazing review. I strongly encourage everyone to check out Team Hochberg's close to 600 5-star Google reviews. Team Hochberg helped Suzanne and thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 643114.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1783, the Revolutionary War was nearly over, but America's future remained uncertain. Officers in the Continental Army were angry. Congress had failed to provide promised pay, and some considered using the Army's power to force the government's hand. George Washington understood their frustration, but he also knew the liberty they had fought to win could be destroyed by the very army that secured it. Washington confronted his officers and urged them to choose honor, patience, and loyalty to the Republic over rebellion. He could have used their anger to increase his own power. Instead, he used his influence to restrain it. Power asks what it can take. Character asks what duty requires. Washington's lesson still stands. Freedom survives when leaders place principle above ambition and remain faithful to God, country, and the people they serve.
You've worked hard for everything you have. Your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The schedule is out. I just want to direct your attention. The schedule for the Socialism Conference in Chicago, September 4th to the 7th at the Hyatt Regency. Oh, Pritzker will be very happy to hear about that. The schedule's out. Kick it off Friday, September 4th with a historic bike tour, a Chicago Race Right 1919 commemoration project. And then, that slides right into Saturday morning where you do a Marxism education series, reproductive justice strategy session, organizing social workers for Abolition Summit, abolitionist campaigns in hostile terrains, fighting against immigrant detention in New York. A lot of abolition of that, abolition of this, abolition of prisons and police and ICE and the Senate and the presidency and the Constitution. Got a lot they want to abolish. A sing, struggle, and organize, movement songs, political education, and collective power. I would like to hear some of those ditties. I don't know. I think I'm going to be out of town over that weekend, though. Gosh, damn my luck. If anybody goes, please do at least get the music sheets for the singing breakout session. Just again, others confronting Zionism, decolonizing Palestine, and building the world anew. Big dreams. Why Eugene V. Debs matters. Haven't been part of a good Eugene V. Debs symposia for a while. I mean, that would be fun. Oh, by the way, they want everybody to know that they've updated their logo to be a lantern because the lantern is a beacon of freedom and a light in the dark. We are full 1984 here. Slavery is freedom. Slavery is what they promise. Freedom is what they call it. And boy, the tickets are a little pricey for a bunch of redistributionists. I hope they're taxing millionaires or billionaires, stealing from them, as they do under color of law or not under color of law, to make sure that the workers of the world uniting can afford that Eugene V. Debs breakout session. Coming up at 6:36, again, not that I want to dwell on it, but the WNBA just won't leave me alone. Our latest installment of Sports and Politics, the coach of the Indiana Fever is outraged that people would criticize her for not rallying to the defense of her players, one Sophie Cunningham in particular. 6:36. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
6:31 in Chicago, 73 degrees, and cleanup is underway after multiple tornadoes strike the Chicago area and northwest Indiana.
Well, this street was a beautiful street because it had such mature trees, and now our mature trees are just, I don't know, it's like an apocalypse.
ComEd reports about 145,000 customers without power this morning. NIPSCO in northwest Indiana, 281,000 customers in the dark. Hard-hit areas include Valparaiso, Portage, Munster, Maryville, Gary, Cedar Lake, and one person is dead after a home exploded in Portage, Indiana.
I got out, checked on my neighbor, checked on her, and then as soon as she opened the door and I was talking to her, I said, "It smells like gas." Then maybe that's 2-3 minutes later, explosion.
The blast happened yesterday in the 6600 block of Harrison. Portage Police Chief Michael Candido.
It seemed that every road had a tree down, every way. There were several officers actually parked about a mile away and ran on foot through neighborhoods trying to get to the home.
It looks like an upset in the Wisconsin Democrat primary for state governor, where Socialist Francesca Hong, favored to win, But multiple outlets now projecting that she has narrowly been defeated by Democrat David Crowley.
What I do know is that we are ready to keep fighting, and I feel confident.
Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, Lisa DeMuth, has won the GOP gubernatorial primary to face off against Minnesota Governor Tim Walz in November. DeMuth spoke to reporters saying it's only the beginning for her.
We have a dream and a vision for Minnesota to bring us back, make us stronger and better, and we know that it is going to take the Damon Wilson ticket to be able to do that.
Former U.S. Marine Robert Gilman has been released from Russian custody. Gilman arrested in 2022 after Russian authorities accused him of kicking a police officer. President Trump says Russia agreed to release Gilman following discussions with Vladimir Putin, who reportedly cited health and humanitarian concerns. Chicago sports. White Sox fell in extras to the Reds 5-4. Cubs beat the Nationals 8-6. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather coming your way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can see what's happening.
The left and the Democrats think we're crazy for rolling out MAGA. They think we're the fascists, we're off the charts, we're off the rails, we're wild-eyed and crazy. And so their response is, let's be even crazier. Let's actually embrace literal communism.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Phil Silverman, CFO of Chicago Atlantic and a client of Signature. We provide capital solutions in markets where risk is often fundamentally mispriced and traditional financing can be limited. Ahead of an important and complex transaction closing, Signature promptly assisted us in addressing a wire issue through their monitoring and verbal verification process, helping us administer the closing on time while maintaining best-in-class control oversight. That kind of hands-on attention is hard to find, and that's why we value our relationship with Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1783, the Revolutionary War was nearly over, but America's future remained uncertain. Officers in the Continental Army were angry. Congress had failed to provide promised pay, and some considered using the Army's power to force the government's hand. George Washington understood their frustration, but he also knew the liberty they had fought to win could be destroyed by the very Army that secured it. Washington confronted his officers and urged them to choose honor, patience, and loyalty to the Republic over rebellion. He could have used their anger to increase his own power. Instead, he used his influence to restrain it. Power asks what it can take. Character asks what duty requires. Washington's lesson still stands. Freedom survives when leaders place principle above ambition and remain faithful to God, country, and the people they serve.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com.
6:37. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Warrenville, traffic signals are dark. Route 59 in Ferry. Bloomingdale, report of an accident in the cleanup stages. Schick and Gary. North side, Roscoe Village, an overturned vehicle accident has Damon Avenue shut down, north and southbound between Fletcher and Belmont. And an accident reported on the Bishop Ford. It's on the outbound side at the Stony Island feeder. Traffic, a service of Lowe's. Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note? Perfect. Bring it in. Get a quote in minutes. Plus, access thousands of products beyond what's in store at Lowe's.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Chicago's Morning Answer continues after we check the morning forecast. In the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center, periods of sun, maybe a midday thunderstorm with a high of 83, humid, and a low of 69 overnight.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Ladies, please. Can we get it together in the WNBA? Apparently not. Stephanie White is the coach of the Indiana Fever that features Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. And she was criticized, as we discussed a little bit yesterday, for not rallying to Sophie Cunningham's defense in response to this flagrant foul that was committed against her by Dejanay White. Is that her name? Trying to forget, actually. Where she got clothesline going to the basket, flagrant 2, she's thrown out of the game. She goes in the locker room, she tweets white privilege. Like, the only reason that flagrant 2 was called and she was tossed is because Sophie Cunningham is white. Right, yeah. Favoring of white players in professional basketball. Okay. Sure. But anyway, Stephanie White... Stephanie White is the coach. Dejanay. We're just going to call her one name. There's not a lot of Dejanays even in the WNBA. So she now, the coach, responding to the criticism that she didn't rally behind Sophie Cunningham after that hard foul and the silly attempt to make it racial by Dejanay. Rather than saying, I didn't have the full information, or what I said was misconstrued, and I apologize if there's some confusion. Of course, No. She's fully indignant, even as she is one of those coaches who is not backing Sophie Cunningham's statement about men not playing women's basketball, which is the backdrop of this entire story, of course. Here's the approach that Stephanie White took, the moral indignation approach that you would expect from an identitarian politician, which is basically how most of these WNBA coaches present.
This isn't necessarily for those people that are in this room. This is more for an online community that's trying to create narratives that simply don't exist. Trying to create a fabrication or distortion of who I am, of what I'm about. Our players' success, our players' health and wellness, our players' safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. For those who have anything to say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time. I take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them 10 toes down all the time. All the time. They know that. It's a shame that we can't have an opportunity to talk about what great basketball they're playing. Because they are fucking playing.
Oh. Excuse you.
The reality is, with me, I will always lead with love. I will always lead with grace. I will always lead with humility. And I will always lead with integrity. Doesn't mean I'll always get it right. I'm also human. The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win.
Ooh, Khrushchev.
It won't win. We are united. We are connected. We will not be divided. Every day these women put their ass on the line. Every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win. Grace will win. Humility will win. And kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
Oh, boy. White privilege will win. Oh, no, wait. I'm not supposed to say that. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. She did a nice job of stringing those quotidian phrases together that the left likes to use. Love will win. Kindness will win. We go low. Wait, when they go high, when they go low, we go high. Something to that effect. It's a favorite Michelle Obama-ism, despite its complete disingenuousness. Similarly here. Dejanay Carrington, by the way, her name. Dejanay Carrington, Sophie Cunningham, Stephanie White, Caitlin Clark. I think we have the cast of characters. She is outraged. I love always, too, the every day these women, and same thing with the cliches on the other side in men's sports. Every day they put their ass online. Yeah, they're professionals playing a sport. Every day everybody puts their ass on the line going to work. They're somehow selfless. They're soldiers at Normandy Beach, at Omaha Beach. I mean, just tone it down. They're basketball players. And I would say the same thing with these Jeremiads that you hear in men's sports. Please, pump the brakes. It was a flagrant foul and a cheap shot by Dejanay against Sophie Cunningham. But it's not the end of the world. And again, the backdrop here is this inability of the WNBA to get itself around the idea of women for women's sports. They have no idea what a woman is. They are, it's a league full of Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji Brown Jacksons. A league full of them. And the funny thing is, this has already sort of been settled at the international level, and the WNBA is compliant. This is an interesting commentary from a woman who wrote a biography about Caitlin Clark. Christine Brennan is her name. She's CNN's sports analyst, whatever that title implies. And she's hardly, a woman of the right, but it's just so matter of fact. Engelbrecht, the commissioner there, and I'm disgusted that I know the name of the NBA commissioner. You have no idea. I mean, she has mismanaged everything. This is the most sort of self-defeating league. Why? Because of politics, identitarian politics. They just can't figure out how to get themselves as a league out of the morass of identity politics. And so it turns Sophie Cunningham into a star. It puts Caitlin Clark in an uncomfortable position that she's not very good at navigating, or she hasn't shown she is. And frankly, the great basketball that's being played out there, I'm the first to admit I haven't watched much of it, but I know Angel Reese isn't a part of that great basketball. I'll just say that. Christine Brennan on CNN on this whole matter. The backdrop of this, which is the trans thing.
No, it's not. But the WNBA and Kathy Engelbert as the commissioner, Laura, has done a terrible job of trying to navigate all kinds of issues since what I would call the Caitlin Clark era, which is the last 3 years. As the interest in the league has grown, the spotlight, you and I have talked about this. There's great players all around, but they never got the attention they deserved. Caitlin Clark comes in.
Who deserves what attention?
And, it's kind of like, people, it's a blank canvas and everyone wants to throw something on it, every issue, because of the attention, not because of Caitlin Clark herself, but just how everything has grown so exponentially. this is a tough issue for them. But of course, you've got these two players who are clearly mocking the transgender community. We've got to say that right off the top. But also, they're mocking the lack of leadership in the WNBA and the fact that on so many other issues, Kathy Engelbert has been silent or missing in action. Now, the good news is that the international basketball community has given the WNBA the way to go. The FIBA, which is like FIFA for soccer, FIBA for basketball, has a policy that if you've gone through male puberty, you cannot compete in any of their events, World Championships or World Cup basketball. Next month, Caitlin Clark and 11 other players will represent the U.S. at the World Cup. All the WNBA needs to do is just say, we are going to follow the rules that the international governing body has, where 12 of our players will be competing for the U.S. in just a month.
Pretty straightforward. I'm surprised that Caitlin Clark made the team, since she was left off the all WNBA team, which speaks to the politics here, and which is why Brennan talks about how Catherine Engelbert has mishandled so many issues in the Caitlin Clark era, starting with Caitlin Clark and metastasizing into all these other issues. And by the way, I wouldn't say that Enes Kanter Freedom and Royce White are mocking the trans community. I think they're mocking the inability to distinguish between what a woman is and what a person pantomiming a woman is. That's what they're mocking. They're mocking the idea that there is no difference between a man pantomiming or play acting a woman and a woman when it comes to sports. Despite all of these, despite things that everyone knows about biology and all these incidents of men in women's sports. And by the way, there's another one too. Some 6'3" dude got cleared to play Australian rules football against women. Okay, and you'll be shocked to learn there's some women that are afraid that women are going to be hurt by this big 6'3" dude pretending to be a woman. It's not mocking the trans community, whatever that is, all these communities of interest, because they share a mental health condition or some identity. They're the same person. They're a monolith. It's so tiresome. But that Stephanie White is like a good example of the bad example. Hate has no home here. Love will win. I'm all about love. Kindness will win. They go low, we go high. You know, we're united. We'll never be divided. I mean, she sounds like a cheerleader. An angry one. Megan in Evanston, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks for taking my call. Glad you're covering this story. First of all, that coach sounds like she's trying to be such a tough guy using profanity, not very professional. And secondly, to me, it was correct. And also, it sounded to me like it was all about her. It was all about her, all about her. And my last question is, do you think she had a macrame picture behind her that said, you know, with a big heart, we love everybody? Mm-hmm. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, Megan. Yeah. Yeah, and she has a throw pillow that says diversity is our strength at home, I'm sure. Marty in Naperville.
Hey, Dan, I took my granddaughters to the WNBA game because we got free tickets. We were the only three there that weren't trans or dykes. I mean, I hate to say it. It was a bunch of short little women, looks like bowling balls with Dago tees on with their arms stuck out. It was unbelievable. So this is why Caitlin Clark and it are never going to make the All-Star or whatever. This is what it's all about. I am telling you right now, go to a WNBA game, and it's amazing, man.
Yeah, no, most of the audience looks like Chris Hayes impersonators. I get it. Bill, Northwest Side.
Yes, to paraphrase Stephanie White, you can't handle the truth.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Rick, Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I like how they're putting their life on the line to play this basketball game. I like that. And
yeah,
I didn't hear her say hate has no home here. I was very disappointed. in that one. I was
Yeah.
waiting for all of them to be said, and she didn't say that one. And that I thought was her main one.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I was waiting for we're going to build a bigger, better, stronger WNBA. Violence will not be tolerated on the CTA. I mean, I wanted to sort of, run the whole gamut, but, take what we can get. Mark in Oak Lawn.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. A couple points. That was one of the dirtiest plays I've ever seen. I mean, she just went right for her neck. The ball, she wasn't even concerned about the ball.
No person is illegal. Oh, no.
And Dan, and Sophie Cunningham is not a lesbian. And that's really the point, because they're after her and they're after Caitlin Clark. More it's Sophie Cunningham, because she's willing to speak up and tell the truth. And they can't handle it.
Well, yeah, and she's she's being I don't know if she's quote unquote conservative or not, but she committed the ultimate betrayal by taking a picture with Riley Gaines and Jennifer Say, founder of XY Sports and former corporate executive, who is a woman of the left until COVID beat some of the leftism out of her. And Riley Gaines is a collegiate swimmer. She was a great swimmer. I mean, these are athletes who basically have just taken the position that women's sports is for women, like biological women, and they're marginalized as conservative, as MAGA, as this and that, or that's the attempt that's being made by the majority in this WNBA league. And I'm happy to welcome them, but you don't need to necessarily agree with all sorts of positions that conservatives like myself take in order to recognize the lunacy of the position the left takes with this trans identity stuff. Roger in DeKalb.
Hey, Dan. Yes, the WNBA it's just not that interesting of a game. But as far as coaches' rates go, Stephanie White could certainly not carry Ilya's jockstrap.
No, thanks for the call, Roger. Well, I mean, Lee Ilya spoke truth about Cubs fans. That's the difference. There was no truth that Stephanie White was offering.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny new gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix, and it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Ladies, you've probably gotten real good at working around your nonstop joint pain. That's what multitasking women like you do, right? Well, when your knees and hips scream, you shift your weight, you skip workouts on really bad days. Dan Proft here. Maybe your doctor told you it's pain from arthritis. You need surgery. Before you make that decision, get a second opinion from my friend Dr. Caravelli and her team at QC Kinetics. They're the best. I personally recommend them because there's no undo button from surgery, especially joint replacement. QC Kinetics works with busy women like you to keep going while the regenerative treatments do their work relieving pain. No scalpel, no long recovery, just your body's natural healing process that can help patients avoid surgery altogether. That's exactly why women like you have turned to QC Kinetics so they can continue to get better while life goes on. Consultations are free, so have a conversation and tell them Dan Proft sent you. When you do, call 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore.
Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family-owned with integrity since 1981.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:07, we'll stick on sports, less politics. Preview the Bears season, talk about the state of college football with the all-time winningest quarterback in Bears history. My favorite trivia question. 7:07, it's not 7 o'clock at AM 560.
He dropped out of the race last month, then came back in it to win it. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. David Crowley pulls off the upset in Wisconsin despite trailing in the polls by double digits after getting back in the race for governor. He defeated Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong.
Establishment Democrats are likely breathing a sigh of relief this morning. This was the outcome they had hoped for, but perhaps not what many of them had expected. David Crowley beat Francesca Hong by less than a percentage point, not the margin that polls had indicated. But Hong had baggage from previous social media posts and lacked the endorsements of prominent progressives like Senator Bernie Sanders and AOC. Crowley's campaign is now out with a new statement this morning saying his next goal is to try and build a broad coalition.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Crowley faces Republican Tom Tiffany in November. Democrats in Minnesota went progressive, picking Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan as their nominee for Senate, defeating Congresswoman Angie Craig by 20 points. Flanagan's Republican challenger in that Senate race, former TV sportscaster Michelle Tafoya. In South Carolina, Republican Senator Darlene Graham, appointed to replace her late brother Lindsey, advanced to a runoff as she runs to stay in the Senate.
I want to thank President Trump, his steadfast support, and his complete and total endorsement.
Graham will face Congressman Ralph Norman in the runoff in 2 weeks. The winner replaces late Senator Lindsey Graham as the GOP nominee, taking on Democrat Annie Andrews in November. In Connecticut, Democratic Congressman John Larson became the 10th House lawmaker to lose a primary this year, beaten by Luke Bronin. We're learning more about President Trump's stealthy exit from the NATO summit last month, secretly switching planes because of an Iranian threat, he told reporters last night.
Well, it's only up to Secret Service. I just follow what they'd like to do.
And according to various reports overnight, the threat to Air Force One was from a shoulder-fire missile that he found out about from Israel.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. America's listening to Fox News.
72 degrees, mostly cloudy in the area, and some storm watches going into effect to our west and south already this morning. In our QC Kinetics newsroom, yesterday a stormy day and a dangerous day, and cleanup is underway after multiple tornadoes hit the Chicago area.
Well, this street was a beautiful street because it had such mature trees, and now our mature trees are just, I don't know, it's like an apocalypse.
The National Weather Service confirmed 3 tornadoes touched down yesterday, including 1 in southern Cook County, 2 confirmed in Will County. ComEd says 145,000 are without power at this moment. And in northwest Indiana, NIPSCO says about 275,000 customers are in the dark. And Portage, Indiana police and fire say 1 person is dead after the storm rolled through and a home exploded.
All of a sudden, there was a tremendous explosion. And my wife said she saw through the window of the garage
the house lifted up and came crashing back down.
And that happened in the 6600 block of Harrison Avenue. Portage Fire Captain Rob Maynard.
Unfortunately, when these large trees come down, they do disrupt the underground piping, which can cause some problems with the meters in the homes.
And many first day of school celebrations are canceled in Northwest Indiana because of the storm damage in Gary, Portage Township, and Crown Point, among others. School is canceled for today. And the Chicago Teachers Union and a coalition of progressive and socialist organizations are endorsing more than a dozen candidates for Chicago's elected school board, including a write-in candidate, Tamika Walton.
There's a lot of money going into this race, right? And not just from the Chicago Teachers Union, from all over.
Walton is the CPS parent running as a write-in candidate after being removed from the ballot. She didn't have enough signatures. White Sox blow a 3-run lead and fall to the Reds in extras 5-4. Cubs outslug the Nationals 8-6. The Bears will be without one of their top DBs for a good chunk of the upcoming season. Kobe Bryant expected to miss at least 4 months following knee surgery. The news service of the AM 560 Advantage. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather comes your way next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Virago and by State Farm Insurance Agent Anthony DeGrotto. WIND, Chicago.
I'm Gary Carr, retired homicide detective and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. For 10 years, we've helped more than 20,000 students become safe, responsible, and confident firearm owners. If you're looking to get your Illinois Concealed Carry license or need to renew, now's the perfect time. Our law enforcement-led training gives you the knowledge and skills to protect yourself and your family. Our 16-hour concealed carry class includes live fire training, one-on-one coaching, Illinois and Florida certification for expanded reciprocity, range qualification, and a full-color textbook. We provide the firearm, ammunition, eye and ear protection, targets, and range access. Need a renewal? Our 3-hour renewal class keeps you legal and current on Illinois firearm laws. Thousands of students have trusted us for professional instruction, flexible scheduling, and exceptional value. Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian for classes, less lethal options, and self-defense legal plans. Visit us at concealedcarrychicago.com to reserve your seat today. That's concealedcarrychicago.com, concealedcarrychicago.com.
If you're looking for a place to grow spiritually in the middle of a busy life, InTouch.org is designed for you. Explore practical, biblical teaching from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, free study guides, and messages that speak to real-life challenges. Whether you're searching for direction, comfort, or a deeper understanding of God's Word, you'll find tools to help you take the next step. Discover resources that meet you right where you are at InTouch.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
7:08 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident in West Chicago, Route 59 in Diversey. Traffic signals are dark. Likely a four-way stop. Route 59 and Ferry Road. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jamming up northbound between Ogden and the Reagan. And as you're between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood, I-294 northbound between Ogden and the Reagan, a jam up this morning on the Tri-State. They've cleaned up an accident outbound Bishop Ford right at the Stony Island feeder, and delays showing up on the Kennedy inbound between Cumberland and Central. Traffic is service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues after we check the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center with meteorologist Jason Caterina.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun along with a thunderstorm, making it feel humid. There will be fog in the morning. The high will reach 82 degrees. Tonight, it will be mostly cloudy and humid with a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas. The low will be around 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is delivered to you directly by yourwearablewords.com. Printed logoed hats, shirts, and more at yourwearablewords.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. It's that time of the year already. Bears preseason opener is this Saturday at noon at Soldier Field. Might not be able to say that for very much longer. Bears hosting a home game at Soldier Field seems to be going the direction of Northwest Indiana at a pretty good pace. I know it hasn't gotten as much attention since the Bears board voted to move ahead with Hammond as the new stadium site, but everything I hear is, well, and we all see, which is complete inactivity from the political power structure in Illinois. There's no special session. There's been some proposals bandied about, but there's no action on any of those proposals. It's not really even a discussion point, including by most of the mayoral candidates, except to say, gosh, golly gee, I wish the Bears would stay in Chicago. That's not a plan. The Bears home opener, preseason home opener, Soldier Field against the Cleveland Browns. And seemed like a perfect opportunity to visit with our old friend who used to trod the grass at Soldier Field, and Ohio native, to Ohio State standout quarterback. The quarterback with the most wins in Chicago Bears history. True story. Mike Tomczak joins us now. Mike, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan, to you and all listeners. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, great to have you discussing these matters with us in Chicago from Ohio. You know, before we get into it, I'm sure people are interested in being reminded in terms of your involvement with the game still, and you're still involved with the Youngstown State football team at the at the collegiate level, obviously.
Yeah, correct. Youngstown State's been my home for the last 11 years. I came here as on a mission. The president at the time was a gentleman by the name of Jim Tressel, former head coach at Ohio State, the former national champion at Ohio State, former national champion coach at YSU, 4-time actually. And when he became president, he called me up and asked me to come up and have lunch with them. Long story short, I ended up coming up and help raising money for endowments at the university. I got involved in some of the football stuff just on a volunteer basis, and I've been volunteering for the last 10 years, and this would be my 11th year. And I'm also involved in some industrial maintenance business. Our dear friend Bob Sapio and I have been having fun with that for the last 8 years. And so Northeast Ohio is where I lay my hat currently.
And I assume, because you didn't say it, that I don't have to refer to Ohio State as the Ohio State, which I really don't like to do.
I don't either.
Okay, all right.
When I was there in the early 80s. You know, it's funny, when that first came out, it was like a slip of the tongue, if you will. And people said, why'd they change their name to the Ohio State? In my wild mind, thinking outside the box, there was a gentleman by the name of Mr. V, and he gave $1 billion to the university on one condition. They put "the" in front of Ohio State.
So for $1 billion, for $1 billion, I'd be branding "the" too. I mean, yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, with my great education from Ohio State, I probed a little bit longer. And one day I was over at the university and talking to some of the administration. They said, we have so many colleges inside this great university. Why not brand it as the Ohio State with all the colleges within the university? So there you go. It's a good play on words, and I know Michigan has a lot of fun with that, especially Calderazzo.
Yeah, well, yeah. So yes, well, you know, it is even a lowly Northwestern grad. It's it strikes me as a little.
There you go. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It strikes me as a little pretentious, which is something to say for a Northwestern grad. You know, so I don't know.
Northwestern, the Northwestern. That's kind of a
I'm saying we don't even do that, and you know, we're supposed to be the haughty school. Yeah, right. All right. Well, let's just start with what I was mentioning, Soldier Field. I mean, I know you you still stay in touch with some of the guys from when your playing days, and you know, what do you think, and what's the consensus about the prospect of the Bears playing in Northwest Indiana?
Well, it's a little closer. It's only 380 miles from my location instead of 420.
There you go.
And it's close to my hometown. Calumet City borders Hammond, Indiana. I'm familiar with the lake shore and, you know, the fine waters of Lake Michigan after swimming in there and boating in there. You know, it's a smokescreen, Dan. Let's be real. It would be uncharacteristic, and not to say McCaskies are uncharacteristic, but Kevin Warren addressed the alumni at a golf outing in May, and basically he just said, you know, we're at a standstill. We've been an Airbnb franchise for the last 50 years. We've been paying rent. You know, he's got a good play on words, right? He's a smart guy. And we all started laughing. And you know, amongst the alums, we're saying, well, that's your fault. You know, people that think, you know, Jerry Joneses of the world, you know, billionaires and are making a lot of money with owning their own stadium. And, you know, I grew up going there, Dan, and you grew up, you know, not too far, you know, at Northwestern, know the beautiful confines of Soldier Field, gorgeous, but it would be uncharacteristic for them to move outside the state. I think Arlington Heights is the real play for many reasons, not only so commercial development, residential development, controlling your own stadium with other venues coming in there. So I think there's this smoke screen, but I'd be curious to hear your initial thoughts on this whole thing, how it smoldered and became a big fire.
Well, I mean, I was skeptical at first after they bought Arlington Heights 5 years ago, Arlington Park, you know. But as with 5 years of dithering from the Illinois General Assembly, the combination of local and state politics, just not getting them the satisfaction they wanted, and then Hammond making this strong play because, you know, Indiana's a state with budget surpluses. That's something Illinois does not enjoy. And providing $1 billion, setting up a sports authority, providing $1 billion for a stadium in Hammond, and being able to build out a Bearsville and Hammond the same way they had envisioned, I think, for Arlington Heights, and where the fan base is, and so on and so forth. And thinking just even long term about the stability of the environment. And in Indiana, you've got a Democrat mayor of Hammond working with the Republican political power structure there. In Illinois, you can't even get these DSA types to work with one another in the city and the state to accomplish anything. And so now, I mean, if the state doesn't do anything, they would almost be negotiating against themselves to turn their back on Hammond, especially after the board voted to move forward with Hammond. And everything I'm hearing now is what may have been a 50-50 proposition a few months ago, like back in May when you heard from Kevin Warren. I think it's more like 95-5 that it's going to happen, and it's going to be Hammond.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what does FanDuel and all these betting sites have it going for?
I don't know. I haven't been tracking where Polymarket and all these other sites have it, but I'm just telling you from what I hear from people who are closer to it than I am. I mean, there's definitely been a change in attitude about the prospect that it's real. And Governor Braun in Indiana said from the beginning, like when they were talking to the Bears. He's like, I know when I'm being, just used as leverage for a different play. He's been successful in business. And he's like, this wasn't that. And at the time he said, like, I'm not saying they're coming to Indiana. I think they're still figuring it out. But they're genuinely interested. Like they're really exploring this in a way that somebody doesn't unless they're serious about this as a possibility. Maybe not their first choice, but if they can't get satisfaction with their first choice, you go to your second choice. And I think this is what's happening.
Yeah, and the grass is greener, right? Mentality. And I love the play from the governor of the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most historic franchises, 106 years old, with a fan base that goes from here to wherever. It's just I can see that happening, and it'll be a moot point after it's all said and done. There'll be political issues and some rallies, and you can't leave up. But who really cares in a year or two? It's going to take them 3 or 4 years to get this facility up, right? So they're going to be in Soldier Field for another 4 years at least, I would think.
Yeah, about. I think that lease runs with the Park District through the first part of the 2030s. So I would expect something like that. But I mean, they save something on the order of $250 million on property taxes to make the move. So even if they had to eat the lease for a year or two, they're making it up on property taxes in Illinois. I mean,
really?
In Indiana versus Illinois.
Really?
That's my understanding.
Doing that in Illinois?
That's my understanding. Doing that in Illinois?
No. Well, no. What I'm saying is that they're making up the lease. Been making up a substantial part of the lease with the Park District with the property tax relief, in addition to the $1 billion they get in Indiana, which is a lower property tax state. And of course, even in leases, the property taxes are being passed on to the leasee, as you well know.
Well, why wouldn't your dear friend Pritzker do the same thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what the Bears want to know. I think that's a big part of it. They wanted, and this is what they wanted from Arlington Heights too. They wanted property tax certainty, and they're not getting it. And so but this is the point too, where politics impacts business. I mean, we have a flight from Illinois hasn't been seen since the Israelites fled Egypt. And it's because of the instability of the environment and the difficulty of doing business here. Even if you're a billionaire family of a Bears franchise, you're not just looking about what you have. You're looking about what you want to build and what you want to last for the long term, and all the mouths the McCaskies have to feed, the generations of McCaskies. And they're saying, our best play for our longevity and stability and return is Northwest Indiana. I think that's where they're coming down.
We'll wait and see. What a great situation for the McCaskies, though. I mean, you got a $1 billion franchise. You got a lineage of family members that, want to see the benefits of this long historic franchise. And Bob and I were talking last night, Sapio, about the history when Muggsy presented Arlington Heights to the Bears in 1978 before he died.
Really?
For some reason, I was doing some research on it, and he initially said, "Hey, what about Arlington Heights?" Because they had some issues with the Park District back then, and here comes full circle. The son of the original founder had a play, and it never came to fruition. That's when Virginia and Ed took over after Muggsy passed away, or actually Mr. Hollis passed away, and so on and so forth. And here we are, 5 decades later, talking about a potential move.
Oh, that's interesting. Wait, did you have a relationship with the McCaskies when you played?
Absolutely.
How was
that? Ed and Virginia were wonderful. Mike was a little quirky.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be kind.
Yeah.
To be kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved him because, he was our owner. I respected, people that employ you. Your first job out of college, I mean, pinch me. I'm living a dream.
Right.
But I got along. One thing I learned with that great Catholic upbringing out of Calumet City, Our Lady of Knock Church and Parish, when you're an altar boy, you serve a lot of masses and you hear a lot of scripture and blah, blah, blah. So when I joined the Bears, we had Mass on Saturday night, and I always did the readings. And Mr. McCaskey and Mrs. McCaskey were always present, home or away game.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I got to know, Father Nick and, a long story history with the Bears. And when I got released or they didn't sign me back in 1990, I got a beautiful handwritten note from Virginia saying, hey, thank you, blah, blah, blah. P.S. We're going to miss your readings in church or in Mass service. And I responded, I wrote her back and said, well, bring me back. I can do readings from anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. No,
Yeah,
obviously
I don't-
faith
when you-
was
I mean,
very important to them, to the McCaskey family, yeah.
Right. And I figured that out. And I always prayed for McMahon to get hurt so I can get in the game. I always prayed for Harbaugh to get hurt so I
Right.
get in the game. And,
Right, yeah, right.
and I prayed for Dick to have a heart attack so he'd get off my ass. I believe in the Holy Spirit, Dan. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not sure God's supposed to answer those sorts of prayers, but no, I hear what you're saying. I got to. Well, to talk a little bit of your prognosis for the Bears in the Caleb Williams era, and what you expect from them this season.
It's a beautiful thing about this time of year, let alone the fantasy football freaks that are out there going through the drafts and everything, and it's all about them. But everyone's so optimistic, and you hear the word excitement. We're so excited. I hear it from our head coach here at Youngstown State. I hear it from, you turn on ESPN, and every coach that addresses the media talks about the excitement, looking forward to the opportunities. And that's all they are. You get 17 opportunities in the National Football League to win a game, to position yourself for the playoffs. And look at what the Bears did, last year. First of its kind for Ben Johnson to take a team, win a playoff game in his first year. They win 12 games. Thriller in that first playoff game against Green Bay, right? We all remember that, it looked like Caleb Williams was trying to get a fly ball to center field.
Right.
Yeah, center field in Wrigley Field, and he went back and threw a Hail Mary. Speaking of Hail Marys. One thing I love about the Bears is if the fans are really fans, there wouldn't be a lot of controversy and debate, right? So you want to wish the best for the Bears, but there's always going to be debate because you're a fan. So looking at the roster, they have a very young roster outside of, maybe 5 guys that have 10 years experience, and the rest are pretty much, in between 2 years and 6 years. But Caleb Williams, he knows how to win. He also knows how to lose. And if you beat yourself, that's going to hurt you in the long run, right? So what I'm getting at is when you play an opponent, you have to beat them, blah, blah, blah. But when you beat yourself with turnovers, miscommunication, 3 and outs, fumble snaps, no fourth down conversions, and you look back at the tape on Monday morning, you realize we just beat ourselves. We were the better team. So if they could figure that out, which I think they will, and I'd look for another 12-win season for them, quite honestly.
Yeah, I mean, even though they're young, I mean, and one of the things that Caleb was able to do last year is overcome a lot of those mistakes, those sort of self-defeating mistakes. I mean, just because of his athletic ability, and as you say, I mean, he proved he's a closer.
Mm-hmm. And the game has slowed down, Dan, and that's the important thing for quarterbacks and for the fans to realize. Going from college, you had the elite athletes at USC. Well, you come to the Bears and everyone's equal, throughout the league. And the stuff you got away with in college, you can't get away with in the NFL. The errant throws that I made throughout my career, throwing late over the middle is a no-no for a quarterback. And I think Ben Johnson is a great mentor for him, because he's become more football IQ, knowing the situation of the game, staying present. 3rd and 8, no one's open. Maybe the best throw is an incompletion. Punt the football is the best thing you could do for your team. But some quarterbacks have egos, and they think they can make a play with their legs or throwing late down the field, and they got a 50-50 ball. But, it's still a team effort. It's one of the greatest games around still. It gets the Chicago fans excited, this time of year. And McCaskey's are always going to have 68,000 people, paid attendance. And I didn't realize this, Dan. Kevin Warren was saying we're the smallest attended stadium, or not the smallest attended, the
Capacity.
smallest
Yeah.
capacity in the National Football League.
Yeah.
And, what do you do about that?
Go get a bigger stadium in Hammond. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Now, is it true that before Caleb Williams made painting his nails au courant, all the rage, that you were doing it at Ohio State? Is that true?
Other people's nails, not mine.
Before we let you go, since you're still involved in college football, before we let you go, just a little bit of a reflection on how the NIL era has changed college football and whether you think it's for the good or for the bad, as compared to when you were coming up.
Yeah. Well, I realized that when I went to college, I was given a free education, not free, but, the scholarship paid for it, and I was completely content with that. Why me? It was a great opportunity, and I took advantage of that. I'm proud of my education at Ohio State. One thing that's lost in this whole NIL world, it's going to come to a point where we're going to have collective bargaining here by 2028, 2030, and everyone's going to be on equal playing ground, at least the 80 power teams in NCAA football. NIL, one thing they never talk about, Dan, it surprises me, is about education. How many of these kids that transfer in the portal go on and get their degree? Or they just go out and get the money, and they figure, okay, I don't need a degree. I got a couple million in the bank, and I'm just going to go on with my life. But it's made a level playing field. I think that the teams, the conferences become more competitive, and there's opportunities for teams, and they're going to expand the playoffs. They already got 12 teams in the playoffs, and it might be 24 in 2 years because people want content. What drives collegiate athletics and professional athletics is gambling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge. I never thought I'd see the day when gambling was part of the broadcast for NFL games, college football games. It's amazing, and it's such a no-no. It's still a no-no in NCAA and professional football to wager on games. And here you are, they're number one advertiser in a lot of these sporting events.
Does it concern you at all that has a corrupting influence on collegiate sports?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't studied it enough because I got other issues I have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. We've seen it in basketball. We've seen it more recently. There was a number of Iowa State football players that wagered on some games a couple years ago, innocently, but they got suspended. There was a college quarterback that took money, Texas Tech, I believe, and he was wagering on games when he was at his former institution. So
right, and the hypocrisy of that, right? So the whole thing is predicated on gambling, but if any of you players do it, then you get clipped. It's all to celebrate gambling and drive people to gambling, and then when you wager on a game, a la Pete Rose, wager on yourself or something unrelated to you, then all of a sudden you're corrupt. You're the corrupting influence in sports. It's a little tough to swallow.
Absolutely. And we have compliance people all the time. I'm getting emails, you can't do fantasy football, you can't do NCAA brackets, you can't wager on games, blah, blah. So we're always continuously getting hammered about the do's and don'ts in the NCAA world.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. Hopefully we'll be able to do more of this as the Bears kick off their regular season and get your perspective on how Caleb Williams' campaign is going in 2020, the 2026-27 season. Hopefully there's a 27 part to the 2026 season.
Yeah.
Mike Tomczak, former Bears quarterback, of course. Mike, thanks as always. Appreciate your time.
Hey, Dan, two more things.
Oh, yeah.
Number one, August 30th and 31st, I'm inviting you to the beautiful Lake Club here in Poland, Ohio, for a historic outing between the Michigan Wolverines and the Ohio State Buckeyes alumni football players. First of its kind. Richie Calderazzo, I think, is going to try to sign you up.
He already reached out to me to play for Michigan.
I love it.
So now it's just a matter of a bidding war between you two.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm a celebrity, and he's the bidder. And secondly, I look forward to this. In 4 months from today, December 12th, we'll still see if the excitement of the Bears fans and our conversations are as exciting as they are today.
Very good. Mike Tomczak, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right. See you, Dan.
See ya. And Mike joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line. Let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
7:33, 72 degrees in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Cleanup underway after 3 EF1 tornadoes struck the Chicago area yesterday around noontime.
Well, this street was a beautiful street because it had such mature trees, and now our mature trees are just, I don't know, it's like an apocalypse.
1 tornado touchdown in southern Cook County, 2 confirmed in Will County. ComEd reports 145,000 customers without power. NIPSCO in northwest Indiana has over 275,000 customers without power in hard-hit areas like Sherrville, St. John, Portage, and Munster. And 1 person is dead after a home exploded following the storms in Portage, Indiana.
I got out, checked on my neighbor, checked on her, and then as soon as she opened the door and I was talking to her, I said, it smells like gas. Then maybe that's 2-3 minutes later, explosion.
That home exploded in the 6600 block of Harrison Avenue. Portage Police Chief Michael Candido.
It seemed that every road had a tree down, every way. There were several officers actually parked about a mile away and ran on foot through neighborhoods trying to get to the home.
Politically this morning, it looks like an upset in the Wisconsin Democrat primary for state governor. Socialist Francesca Hong favored to win Tuesday's race, but multiple outlets now are projecting she's been narrowly defeated by Democrat David Crowley.
What I do know is that we are ready to keep fighting, and I feel confident.
Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, Lisa Demuth, has won the GOP gubernatorial primary, facing off against Minnesota controversial Governor Tim Walz in November.
We have a dream and a vision for Minnesota to bring us back, make us stronger and better, and we know that it is going to take the Demuth Wilson ticket to be able to do that.
Here in Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson trying to ban more data centers in Chicago.
The city is taking steps now to protect Chicagoans from the impacts of data center development while we undertake the comprehensive work that's necessary to establish stronger, permanent protections for our communities.
The Johnson administration needs to work with the city council to advance legislation to establish that temporary moratorium. There are already 39 data centers in Chicago. And a motion to dismiss the case against former FBI Director James Comey, drawing attention to the role of respected former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Patrick Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is now helping lead Comey's defense. The Justice Department has until later this month to respond to Comey's request that that case be dismissed. The news, a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind. Call Goldilocks, 708-889-5600. A check of traffic and weather comes your way next on AM 560.
Alex Marlowe explains consequences of open borders.
Think about what Joe Biden did the second he became president. He stopped building the border wall. Remain in Mexico went away, which meant you come here, you say, I declare asylum. We said, cool, come on in. Do you want a bus to Boston, or how about a plane flight to Chicago? Can we help you out with that? That's how we behaved. So stupid, so self-destructive.
The Alex Marlowe Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1783, the Revolutionary War was nearly over, but America's future remained uncertain. Officers in the Continental Army were angry. Congress had failed to provide promised pay, and some considered using the Army's power to force the government's hand. George Washington understood their frustration, but he also knew the liberty they had fought to win could be destroyed by the very army that secured it. Washington confronted his officers and urged them to choose honor, patience, and loyalty to the Republic over rebellion. He could have used their anger to increase his own power. Instead, he used his influence to restrain it. Power asks what it can take. Character asks what duty requires. Washington's lesson still stands. Freedom survives when leaders place principle above ambition and remain faithful to God, country, and the people they serve.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that, specifically Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country, names you'd recognize, and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency, and clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talk to, it's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1783, the Revolutionary War was nearly over, but America's future remained uncertain. Officers in the Continental Army were angry. Congress had failed to provide promised pay, and some considered using the Army's power to force the government's hand. George Washington understood their frustration, but he also knew the liberty they had fought to win could be destroyed by the very army that secured it. Washington confronted his officers and urged them to choose honor, patience, and loyalty to the Republic over rebellion. He could have used their anger to increase his own power. Instead, he used his influence to restrain it. Power asks what it can take. Character asks what duty requires. Washington's lesson still stands. Freedom survives when leaders place principle above ambition and remain faithful to God, country, and the people they serve.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
7:40, a busy morning in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. If you're traveling on southbound Route 53, you've got a big jam up Palatine Road to Kirchhoff, all in that construction zone. Reagan I-88, accident eastbound at Winfield Road. A disabled vehicle on the Tri-State, left lane block, northbound, right at the Eisenhower merge. Lakeshore Drive, an accident northbound right before Oakwood Boulevard. And on the interior expressways, you've got big delays on the Ike outbound between Costner and Manheim, and the Kennedy outbound jams up at Harlem Avenue. Traffic, a service of Mattress Firm. Still sleeping on that old bed? Mattress Firm sleep experts can help you choose the perfect upgrade. They'll guide you every step of the way. Shop today, save big. Best sale of the year. They make sleep easy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next after we check the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Periods of sun, midday thunderstorm on the way, and a high of 83.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I know we've been waiting for a while now, but the day has finally come where BLM Brandon, the mayor of Chicago, has applied his human intelligence to artificial intelligence. People want to know what Brandon Johnson thinks about AI and AI development, data centers. Somebody of his stature and intellectual firepower to weigh in on these issues, provide some guidance and leadership, and that's happening. That's happening. Where Governor Jellybelly dithers, Brandon Johnson leads with this announcement.
Good afternoon, Chicago. All over the country and throughout our city, neighbors are concerned about the impact that data center developments have on our local environment, our costs of living, and our health. Chicago is home to approximately 39 data centers, most of which were built under regulatory frameworks that did not adequately address the scale, energy intensity, and resource demands of today's facilities. Modern data centers can place significant pressure on electricity grids and water systems, while also contributing to localized noise and air quality impacts. Today, I signed an executive order establishing the strictest, most robust regulatory safeguards covering data centers of any city in the country, as well as a dedicated data centers task force to implement a holistic, long-term strategy to protect Chicagoans' public health, safety, and welfare. Additionally, I am urging the City Council to exercise its exclusive legislative authority to enact a temporary moratorium on new data center development and major expansions.
There it is. We're gonna squeeze this thing until it dies a natural death. Another golden goose by the boards. See, Jellybelly just slow things down, but he doesn't want to go full Hochul. BLM Brandon wants to go full Hochul, temporary moratorium, because, we just don't know. Don't we? Sarah Eisen over at MSNBC posted this new research about counties with operating data centers and the economic impacts since 2024. What we find is that counties that build data centers are seeing new housing, higher home values, lower unemployment, and more job growth. So if you're interested in any of those things, new housing, higher home values despite new housing, more supply, lower prices, no, not if there's more demand. New housing, higher home values, lower unemployment, and more jobs. And the discrepancies between those counties with data centers, and we're talking about more than 200 in the last 2 years, the discrepancies are substantial, positive to the counties with data centers. New housing, higher home values, lower unemployment, more job growth. If you don't want those things, and I know Chicago is generally averse to those sorts of things, even though we say we want those things, then take the position, but if you don't want them, then take the position that BLM Brandon and Kathy Hochul is taking, as Jellybelly is oscillating between the two because he's a cipher. Now, this is not to say I go willy-nilly. Oh, and by the way, all of the environmental stuff, we've talked about this, water usage that's less than golf courses and so forth. But and there's very little evidence to support the idea that it is generating. These data centers are generating an increase in the electricity bills of local residents. There's no evidence to support that. Those are just scare tactics that are used by NIMBYs or those that are flacking for a particular organized information campaign, it seems to me. But this is not to say I'm, full on like AI CEOs. I don't trust those quote unquote experts either. So, for example, Palantir CEO, he offered this statement, which I also don't concur with. This is Shyam Sankar on who we should start listening to when it comes to, AI revolution. I mean, I should say I don't agree with it in an unqualified fashion.
For too long, the national discourse has really been dominated. The discourse on AI has been dominated by voices from Washington, D.C., from Silicon Valley, from Wall Street. But I think we've heard enough from the regulators, the researchers, the investing class. It's time to hear from the builders. And that's because AI is a tool. And the value of that technology is going to be determined by the people who wield it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with hearing from the builders, and we have heard from them, a lot of them, and should continue to. And we heard from a lot of builders in response to the Pope's encyclical on the topic, didn't we? And we're hearing from builders when they're about to go public and they want the government to take a stake in their company, which I don't like. So we're hearing all sorts of things from the builders as well as the regulators and the politicians and the investor class and Silicon Valley. We're hearing from everybody. The point is not that anybody should be silenced or anybody should be deferred to. It's the point is the quality of the discussion and what it generates in terms of sensible policy. Sensible policy, obviously something that, again, Chicagoland and Illinois eschew. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore. Our conversation with Steve Moore brought to you by Home State Bank, our sponsor for these Dollars and Cents Money Matters segments. Consider Home State Bank as an impartial trustee to your estate and spare your family from conflict and disagreements. Talk to a Home State Bank trust officer today at 815-459-2000. Again, Home State Bank, the number 815-459-2000. Steve Moore, economist and co-founder of Unleash Prosperity. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Great to be with you. And, boy, this is a hornet's nest of an issue. I was just 2 nights ago, I was in Culpeper, Virginia. I don't know if you've ever been to Culpeper, Virginia, but it's about 60 miles outside of D.C. and kind of more rural community town in central Virginia. And we did a focus group with about 25 people in that community because they have data centers there. And it was a fascinating experience. We had a good array of people, retirees, working class folks, some CEOs, and so on. And the consensus is we don't want data centers. No, they're too many data centers. There's too much development here, et cetera. So there is a real PR problem, no question about it. People are concerned about it. Partly, Dan, one of the things I discovered is partly people don't trust Silicon Valley. They don't trust.
Nor should they.
That the value. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for the last 30 years, the Silicon Valley have sort of thumbed their nose at conservatives, and they've made friends with the leftists. Of course, now the Bernie Sanders of the world have turned on them. Now they're running to us. And so, and by the way, I'm working with the tech industry to help them solve this problem because the bottom line. Let's start with the most important thing here. We need more data centers in this country. We're going to probably need to double or triple data centers because they are the ignition switch of the future. When people tell me, no, I don't want a data center, I was like, oh, what is that you got in your hand? Oh, that's my cell phone. Do you like your? I can't live without this thing. Are you kidding? It's like an appendage to my body. Do you like to use the internet? Yes, of course. I use the internet all the time. Blah blah blah. So people, do you like the GPS system? I bet a lot of people are driving around right now in their cars, getting to one place or another, using the GPS system. None of that works without data centers. I mean, I think people are spooked by this. They don't even know what data centers are. I mean, I didn't even know what a data center was until a year ago. I'm sorry I'm going off on this, but the first thing that's important is that people realize if you don't have data centers, you're not going to have the internet, you're not going to have GPS, you're not going to have, your cell phone isn't going to work, et cetera, et cetera. So we need them, and the real question is where they are going to be built, Dan. And my feeling is, look, if Chicago doesn't want them, I mean, I would think Chicago would want more economic development. But if this idiot mayor doesn't want them, build them somewhere else.
Well, exactly. No, that's exactly right. I mean, I'm all for sort of local decision making on the topic, but I'm not for general disinformation and fear mongering. Nor am I deferring to any experts or any one group, as I said at the outset. But let's understand what we know. For example, in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is home to more than 200 data centers.
That's right.
Tax revenue over the past 10 years, they've lowered real property tax rate every year from it's sort of been lowered by about 30% in real dollars over the last decade, and they have increased tax revenue from $466 million in FY22 to $795 million in FY26, which is why they can lower real estate taxes. So, in part, so the point is to say, like, here's what's happening on the growth front. Here's what's happening on the tax coffers and the cost of living front. What that how that's impactful, and then fine, examine the resource issue from every angle you want. But what you're going to find is that, as with most technological innovation that is done responsibly, this is a winner, and people should be interested in adopting winners.
So a couple of responses to that. Number one, we just have something in our hotline this morning. I hope everyone's getting that. Just go to unleashprosperity.com and sign up for free. But The latest estimates by the tech industry is they will be spending over the next 10 years. You ready for it? $2 trillion. $2 trillion. That's more than the GDP of most countries on new investment in data centers, and so that's a lot of money. Now, when a community says we don't want a data center, and by the way, I'm like you. If the community says they don't want it, they shouldn't have it. I believe communities have the right to have what they want and not want. But if you look at this, it would almost be like, imagine we were living 100 years from now. 100 years ago, and Henry Ford, rode his horse in Detroit and said, "Hey, I'm going to build all these auto plants." And people said, "Oh no, that's going to cause all sorts of pollution, and we don't want your damn auto plants. Get them out of here."
Right. And in places like Southern Illinois, they welcome prisons. They welcome prison construction because of the jobs.
Exactly.
So I want to
right. Yeah, no, but there's a lot of mythologies out there. Oh, they're going to, pollute the water. They're going to cause too much, noise and things like that. So this is a real conundrum because we need now. You know what the strongest argument is, though, for that I've found in terms of why we need to build these data centers?
Go ahead.
It's simple. One word. You know what that one word is?
Jobs.
China.
Oh, China.
China.
Yeah, the AI race.
Build them,
yeah.
China will win the AI race. They will win the technology race, and they will blow us away. We are in an arms race against China to be first in this. Just like you go back 30 years ago, who won the internet? Who built the whole internet age with companies like Amazon and Apple and Google? U.S. dominated that. We want to dominate this next phase. We can't do it if we're not building data centers.
Before we let you go, I want to get your take on the jobs numbers last week and this sort of dynamic of this low hire, low fire economy, and what you think that importunes.
So we have a labor shortage, not a job shortage in America. Almost any young person who wants a job, who has a skill, you can find them. Employers all over the country are saying we can't find the mechanics, we can't find the electricians, we can't find the data processors. So there are a lot of jobs open. The real problem, the real story here is a reduction in the number of Americans of working age that are working. And the biggest decline, Dan, we could spend an hour talking about this, but the biggest worry to me is a dramatic reduction in the number of males between the ages of 18 and 35 that are working. They should be working. They need to be working. They're not working. By the way, women are more likely to be working, and men are less likely to be working. That is a big problem. And my advice to parents, because I know you got a lot of parents who listen to this show, we've got to get back to getting 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds working. For 30 years, oh, no, we don't want child labor. We don't want kids working. The best thing you can do if you want to improve the future of your kids, get them a job when they're young. My first job was working in Indian Hill Country Club as a caddy.
Yeah, you and Bill Murray.
I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
So this idea that we shouldn't have kids working, crazy. My wife, as you know, and she grew up on a farm. If you grew up on a farm, you start working when you're 11 years old. She has the most incredible work ethic. So get your kids out from in front of that stupid computer screen and get them a job. All right, I'll get off my high horse now.
Very good. No, I mean it's a good message. It's 100%. I started working when I was 11. Absolutely.
What was your first job?
Caddy for a decade, all the way through college.
I remember, Dan. I was so little. The golf bag was almost bigger than I was.
So was I. I was as a high school freshman, I was like 5'2", 110. As an 11-year-old, I was like a zygote. But I took the ridicule and I managed, and it made me this wonderful person that I am today. So there you go.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Steve, you have a lot of enemies, Dan.
Yeah, I've heard. Steve Moore, economist, co-founder of Unleash Prosperity. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, have a great day.
Our conversation with Steve, well, first of all, he joined us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line. And our conversation with Steve Moore, again, brought to you by Home State Bank. Consider Home State Bank as an impartial trustee to your estate and spare your family from conflict and disagreements. Talk to a Home State Bank trust officer today at 815-459-2000. Again, that number for Home State Bank, 815-459-2000.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner.
Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll return to our distillation of yesterday's midterm primary results and talk a little bit more about how the left is trying to put woke one behind them. Scott McKay joins us at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
An up and down inflation report. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Literally, consumer prices inched up last month from June, but the annual rate of inflation for July dropped slightly.
Everything in line with estimates. So month over month, July CPI coming in up 0.1%, year over year, up 3.4%.
That's Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni. Affordability, a big midterm election issue, especially for Democrats.
We are going to stop Donald Trump's $1 billion a day illegal war in Iran and the crushing gas and fertilizer prices.
That's Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, a progressive who easily won the Democratic primary for Senate in November. Flanagan will face Michelle Tafoya, a former TV sportscaster who won the Republican primary. In Wisconsin, a Democratic socialist lost. Francesca Hong had led in the polls, but was upset in the primary for governor by a more moderate Democrat, David Crowley, who had dropped out of the race briefly last month and then came back in and won by a few thousand votes.
Hong was bogged down by controversial social media posts and a lack of endorsements from prominent progressives. Wisconsin Dems are now calling on the party to put aside their differences and unite behind Crowley as he gets ready to face Republican Tom Tiffany for governor.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. In Connecticut, Democratic Congressman John Larson became the 10th House lawmaker to lose a primary this year. Luke Bronin beat Larson by 22 points after telling voters the stakes are too high to keep doing the same thing. In South Carolina,
this is a very emotional night.
Senator Darlene Graham finished first in the Republican primary to replace her late brother Lindsey as GOP nominee as she runs for her own term in office after being appointed to the Senate. Graham will face Republican Congressman Ralph Norman in a runoff in 2 weeks. About 700,000 homes and businesses still without power the day after storms hammered parts of Illinois and Kentucky and Indiana, where 2 people were killed, one by a falling tree. Another died in Ohio in flooding. America's listening to Fox.
8:02, 72 degrees this morning in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Cleanup underway after multiple tornadoes struck the Chicago area yesterday. The National Weather Service confirmed at least 3 tornadoes touched down, including 1 in southern Cook County, 2 confirmed in Will County. Damage throughout the region. ComEd reports about 145,000 customers without power this morning. NIPSCO in northwest Indiana says about 275,000 customers are in the dark. 1 person is dead after a home exploded in Portage, Indiana.
I got out, checked on my neighbor, checked on her, And then as soon as she opened the door and I was talking to her, I said, "It smells like gas." Then maybe that's 2-3 minutes later, explosion.
And this morning, to our west, approaching Ottawa this morning, another round of showers and thunderstorms, and a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for the central part of northern Illinois. Around noontime today, those storms could hit the Chicago area. A man charged in a deadly hit and run last month in the northwest suburbs. Marcos Moreno was driving a pickup truck when he hit a bicyclist July 6 at Route 120 between Big Timber and Gast. Now, Moreno faces multiple charges in the death of Ebony Cavillo, including failure to report a crash, resulting in a death. Chicago sports. On Popat night, White Sox blow a 3-run lead. No divine intervention as the Reds come back to win it on the road, beating the White Sox at the rate 5-4. Cubs outslugged the Nationals 8-6 in the series opener from D.C. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature, a division of Esquire Bank.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The July Consumer Price Index will be released before the opening bell. Headline CPI growth is expected to have accelerated slightly in July, rising 0.1% after a steeper than expected drop of 0.4% previously. Year-over-year price growth is expected to cool. Futures pointing to a higher opening on the street this morning following losses of more than 100 points for the Dow and NASDAQ yesterday. Oil prices reversing course, now up slightly. That comes following a report that Iran claims there are no ceasefire discussions happening with the Trump administration. And we'll get earnings after the closing bell today from networking equipment giant and Dow member Cisco Systems, as well as ticket marketplace StubHub and commercial spaceflight company Virgin Galactic. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Frank Lanza, invested in you.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Class A Insurance, owned by Thomas Iacenta. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Hey, it's Sean Thompson. You know, one day it's market volatility. The next day it's conflict overseas. Price jumps, confidence drops, and suddenly retirement feels less certain. When the latest headline pushes costs higher and stokes inflation fears, it can have a ripple effect on your investments and your budget. But here's the thing. Retirement shouldn't depend on perfect timing or on the latest geopolitical noise. Tom Fortino and the Alpha Wealth Group help families right here in the Chicago area build a plan to create income you can't outlive, control taxes, minimize risk, protect your assets, and prepare an estate and legacy plan. It's their 5-pillar retirement planning. Ready to learn more? To get your complimentary retirement roadmap and a retirement analysis today, schedule a meeting with Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group by calling 630-864-6711. That number again, 630-864-6711, or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Everyone walks through seasons of uncertainty, but you don't have to walk through them alone. At intouch.org, you'll find messages of hope, biblical truth, and encouragement from Dr. Charles Stanley, available anytime you need it. Dive into devotionals, watch sermons, or explore resources that help you draw closer to God day by day. When you're ready to refocus your heart and renew your faith, visit intouch.org. It may be exactly what your soul needs today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
It's 8:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, Oakbrook Terrace. An accident at Route 83 and Villa. Things are also slow. West Chicago, Route 59 and Diversey. Delays showing up on Lakeshore Drive this morning. Northbounders, you're entirely shut down now between 47th and Oakwood. Traffic back up to Hyde Park Boulevard because of a bad accident with injuries reported. Again, Lakeshore Drive northbound shut down between 47th and Oakwood. They've cleared an accident off the Reagan eastbound at Winfield Road, but delays remain, and delays showing up on the Ike, inbound and outbound. Outbound, Costner to Manheim. Inbound right now, North Avenue to the Tri-State. Traffic, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. Marvin Replacement Windows and Doors can bring your backyard right into your living space, making it seem brighter and more spacious. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next after we check the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center with Jason Caterina.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun along with a thunderstorm, making it feel humid. There will be fog in the morning. The high will reach 82 degrees. Tonight, it will be mostly cloudy and humid with a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas. The low will be around 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, talking about the midterm primaries that occurred last night and the big surprise in Wisconsin with DSA candidate Francesca Hong appearing to lose narrowly to Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. She's about 3,279, well, exactly, 3,279 votes down. Yeah, we'll see. But it looks like she's lost. And the dynamic actually is not dissimilar to what happened in the Michigan primary for Senate that El Sharia won. He started leaking oil down the stretch, and he held on and held off Haley Stevens just enough to win. And Hong was just a much less skilled candidate than El Sharia. A much less polished, much worse at tackling previous positions, much less at hiding them or explaining them away. And ultimately, in both instances, you had a surge for their opponents that were down significant numbers according to the polling, because rank and file Dem primary voters feared the electability question. Like El Sayed, El Sharia, can't beat Mike Rogers. And so there was movement in the direction of Haley Stevens down the stretch to make that a point and a half race, even though Saeed's polling had him, the polling that was out on that race had him up 20. Same thing with Hong, had her up 18-22, something like this. But the surge and the concern about, can this person beat Tom Tiffany and hold the governor's office for our party? And the answer was increasingly no. And in primaries, smaller electorates, boy, momentum is a funny thing, and it can flip results in a hurry, as we saw happen yesterday in Wisconsin. And let me give you an example of what I mean, too, down the stretch. And this is even more remarkable because a month ago or so, David Crowley was out of the race. And then the front runner, Sarah Rodriguez, had to bow out of the race. So he's back in because Tony Evers and the quote-unquote establishment, such as it is, are looking for a way to stop Hong. Crowley, a Milwaukee County executive, former state legislator. This is what he was saying down the stretch. And this is, a direct appeal to those who had the electability concerns about Francesca Hong, even if they're otherwise willing to endure a DSA candidate.
And as I travel across this state, people are afraid of socialism in Wisconsin. And so they want somebody who's going to be pragmatic, who's going to get things done. And that's
pragmatic problem solver with a record of success. I'm not stipulating that that's an accurate reflection of his record. That's just the messaging. Meanwhile, Francesca Hong, right up until Election Day, is saying idiotic things. For example, she's still in the posture of defending her position of defunding the police on a podcast with a former Islamist who had a show on MSNBC, Wajahat Ali. And listen to this defense. Not skilled.
What for you when it came to defunding the police? What was your actual when you supported it? What did you mean by that? In your own words, why did you support that?
That was right after the murder of Jacob Blake, and we just had another police murder in my hometown of Madison of Corey Ruiz. And
so two things. One, Jacob Blake wasn't murdered because he's still alive. And, some people in Wisconsin may know that factoid. He's paralyzed from the shooting. To call it a murder, he's still alive. To suggest anything was criminal belies the fact that no officers were involved in the Jacob Blake shooting because he was a thug who pulled a knife on a cop. Okay. And then the Ruiz case, which happened this year, is still under investigation. No police officer has been charged in that either. She calls them both murders. And she also is essentially conceding that defunding the police is still her position in real time because she's talking about a quote-unquote murder, the Ruiz quote-unquote murder, that happened this year as the basis to answer the question of why did you support defund the police? I still do, apparently. See what I'm saying about not skilled? Meanwhile, as CNN reported, El Sayed is cleaning up his record from woke one, as AOC might say.
We had previously covered on this show that he deleted a lot of tweets about defund the police. Now, what we have found now is more than 100 of his YouTube videos on his YouTube channel that appear to have been made private. And one thing that is worth noting here is that his campaign now says that these don't reflect his beliefs today. But one thing that's worth pointing out is this really isn't a distant archive. These are comments from the last 4 years, with one of these videos posted as recently as 2 years ago. I want to run through a few of them of what we found. Now, you did mention that 4th of July video. You can see the taken down video right there from July 2024. El Sayed cited air pollution from Detroit, fireworks, chemicals used in fireworks, PTSD among veterans, and risk to children and pets. And he asked if Americans could find another way to celebrate. And Aaron, that is really just one example. In another that we found from April 2023 after a school shooting in Tennessee, El Sayed floated replacing the Second Amendment right to bear arms with a constitutional right to health care, saying, what if we tweaked the Constitution, amended the amendment, and instead of the right to bear arms, we changed it to the right to have health care? In another September 2022 video that we found, El Sayed also blasted Republicans for focusing on the southern border, calling it an issue they, quote, love to flog, adding in, quote, it doesn't even make the top 5 among issues that people in the United States actually care about that affect their lives.
So Hong doesn't like Thanksgiving, and Saeed al-Sharia doesn't like Independence Day, and he's for open borders and repealing the Second Amendment, and she's for overthrowing the federal government. It's just how they're packaging it and presenting themselves. Well, how good they are at obfuscating who they really are, it seems to me. So we don't have Francesca Hong, but we still have El Sayed and, Peggy Flanagan, who's the Senate nominee in Minnesota after last night, and others. Scott McKay is the publisher of The Hayride, thehayride.com, senior editor at The American Spectator, and author of the new novel, The Necessary Men. Scott, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad that I got to come on, but I'm just devastated that we have to pour one out for Francesca Hong. She was my favorite DSA moron, and they stole that election from her in Milwaukee at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I think all the DSA people need to take some serious stock and understand what you're trying to do in taking that party over. They will steal elections from you. Take it from the Republicans. We know. And now you found out.
It's funny you say that. Let me play this from Milwaukee County because I haven't played it yet. I'm glad you brought it up. Milwaukee County election officials early this morning.
There are 2 things. There's the audit log and the results. What we uncovered was that 5 of the sticks had the audit log downloaded and not the results. It's a human error. These things can happen. So basically what we need to do is go back to the operations center and we're going to download out of those 5 machines the results and make sure that it's not the audit log.
Irregularities in Milwaukee County. What a shock. Maybe the RNC can intervene on Hong's behalf.
They should. They absolutely should. I don't know. I mean, what is it? It's after 8 in the morning. These guys are sleeping on the job. Absolutely go and intervene.
I love it.
You couldn't make this up. Right. If I made this up and I put that out, everybody's like, "Oh, come on, that's ridiculous." And it's like, no, it's real. This actually happened in 2026. After everything we've been through with Wisconsin at the forefront of it, they're doing it again, and for obvious reasons.
That's certainly an underappreciated aspect of the story and an underappreciated opportunity for the RNC. Yeah, nothing like rallying to the defense of the DSA because there's no question. I mean, Crowley's story and the way the narrative, at least around his story, is disturbingly reminiscent of Obama's. Community organizer from a poor background and rose to Milwaukee County executive where he gets things done for people, whatever that means. He's a much tougher out for Tom Tiffany than Hong was, that's for sure.
Well, I suppose so, but I mean, I don't know. How disgusted are Francesca Hong's voters with the outcome of last night?
Yeah.
I would think that they should be absolutely enervated by this and just completely disgusted and discouraged about politics, because the fact of the matter is, folks, they're not going to let you win. They'll steal the election just like they stole it from Bernie. They're going to steal it from you.
No, I like that. Yeah, I like the divide and conquer rhetoric. Here's the thing, though, too. Like, how divided is the party really? Yeah, you have some rank and file that moved in the direction of Tony Evers' endorsement late against Hong because they didn't feel like she could win, and there was good reason to believe that. Same thing in Michigan, but were unable to defeat al-Sharia there. But I mean, at the end of the day, they may this is not like a step back for the DSA. Like, oh, the quote unquote establishment is reasserting and the DSA's moment is over. That's not what I don't think this is happening at all. They will continue to come and they will ultimately win because most of these passive, surface skimming, even primary voters are not the activist set. and ultimately they're going to get subsumed, or they're going to get wooed by candidates that are more polished, like El Sharia than was Francesca Hong. They're going to have their day, and just as they've made such movement despite some fits and starts since it got taken away from Bernie, as you said a decade ago.
Well, the thing to note on this, like, none of these are particularly high turnout races. I mean, the problem that you run into, and I guess they solved some of it in Wisconsin, and they almost solved it in Michigan, was getting the ordinary Democrats, whether they're union people or
Right.
whatever, like getting those guys out to vote, because in all of these hard super blue districts where the DSA was able to get people elected, like in New York and the woman that won the
Colorado
nomination in Denver,
yeah.
like nobody shows up to vote. And part of that is, for the last decade, the sort of Chuck Schumer wing of the party has nothing but Trump derangement syndrome to sell. And along the DSA, people come and they're like, well, we hate Donald Trump too. Plus, we're going to pay all your bills for you and give you like free food at the government grocery store. And it's the stupidest agenda possible. But you're offering people free stuff plus their Trump derangement syndrome. And that's better than just Trump derangement syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, in some of these like awful congressional districts, this actually works. And so in these low turnout races, yeah, you're going to get DSA people in there. The problem that Francesca Hong has is that she's utterly insane. Okay. And she's not like an insane genius. She's an insane non-genius.
Yes, correct.
I mean, this is somebody who they put her on lithium because she's crazy, and then she ODs on her lithium. Which is like, okay, that's, I don't know that you maybe should be running a state if you can't manage your drug intake. And this is a problem that the DSA has is, their candidates are people who like literally can't run a lemonade stand, which is a problem for the Democrat, like ordinary Democrats. But like the DSA people are the ones who really can't run a lemonade stand.
Well, the other, it seems to me, though, that like Rogers and Tiffany, some of their commentary, Rogers in the wake of El Sharia's victory and Tiffany with the anticipation Hong would win, sort of making these very vanilla appeals to center-left Democrats to say, you have a home here. We may not agree on everything, but, we're both not crazy, and this should be the not crazy coalition. It seems to me there's going to need to be more than that from Tiffany and Rogers in those Midwestern states to win in November. And I refer to a piece by Michael Baharine, formerly of the Liberal Patriot, writing over at Unheard, and his reaction to, AOC's attempt to just relegate all the defund, open borders, overthrow the federal government stuff to, that crazy weekend bender we had called Woke One. And his point is, that needs to be prosecuted. When you said it was crazy, what was crazy? Which parts were crazy and which parts weren't? Is it the actual ideas proposed? Is it the candidates? Give us some more color on this, and let's really plumb the depths of this. It seems to me the case needs to be prosecuted in addition to sort of a commonsensical vision for addressing some of the economic security concerns that swing voters have in the general.
Well, and I think that certainly you prosecute that, but the question is like, okay, we're in Woke 2, and Woke 2 is sane. Like, we read the DSA's platform, okay? They want no Senate, they want no president, they want no Supreme Court, they want people to have no bills.
Right.
Yes, Woke One was crazy. This is outright lunacy. Like this, they've not come to their senses, these people.
And I know, by the way, as AOC mentioned to Jonathan Karl, she's still a card-carrying member of the local DSA chapter in New York.
Well, yeah, and go look at what the local DSA chapter in New York is all about, because that's not sane politics either. I mean, you talk to this, what is this guy's name? Is Gustavo Gordillo, I guess,
Yes,
is like
right.
the local DSA honcho. And then you get this Megan Romer woman who is all of a sudden we want to tax the hell out of millionaires. And it's like, well, what rate are you talking about? And then they start, giving you gobbledygook. None of these people are capable of running anything. Like, none of them come from a back. El Said is the only one that you could look at his resume and go, well, the resume's not bad. Everybody else has done nothing in their lives. Chevalier, the other one that beat Espaillat in New York, like, she's been in college for 14 years. That's her professional resume. She's a 14-year college. She's like a junkie that keeps going back for a fix. Hey, let me go get another worthless degree.
She loves learning.
Yeah, leering, not learning, leering. This woman. And then she complains about student loans, Dan. The student loan bill is like, yeah, for 14 years you're going to rack up some debt, lady.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's tough to pay cash for that long. Yeah, right.
I mean, it's like she's like this poor kid from the Dominican Republic, and she's got like 6 degrees from Columbia, and she's worried about student loans. I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Well, okay, for Republicans to not be in the Michael Dukakis, how am I losing to this guy position come November, what should they be doing that they're not doing now, besides passing the Save America Act?
Passing the Save America Act would do so much good, it's not even funny. There are a bunch of things on affordability that I'd like to see worked on. I mean, I think the number one thing that you could probably tamp down all of this DSA enthusiasm among the 26-year-olds who are just buried under student debt, go pass a bill that lets student debt be discharged in bankruptcy. And watch all of the professors and academic administrators at all these universities absolutely have a cow. It's basically the student debt version of Enos Kanter and Royce White applying for the WNBA draft. It's what that is. If you were to do that, this would be such a nuclear bomb dropped on the narrative that these people did. And it's not a bad piece of policy. We're not forgiving anybody. You got to go through bankruptcy, but there's never been a good reason given why this would be the one form of debt that you can't discharge in a bankruptcy, particularly if they bamboozled you into getting a degree that would ensure that you're not going to be able to pay off the debt.
Yeah. Gosh, what would all those downwardly mobile, multi-degreed DSA members say to that? That would be their heads would explode.
I know. If a Republican came along and said, "Fine, go, bankrupt. 7 years later, you're done," right? And oh, okay. Well, you mean I don't have this over my head? No. I mean, most of these people, if they went bankrupt, it's not going to hurt their credit rating.
Yeah, and plus they got a backstop because they're going to live rent free in New York before all is said and done.
Well, yeah, you can live rent free with the Ratonas and the Cucarachas, but you can live rent free. You go squat in somebody's place. Because they just gave you a list of places to go live. He published a list of theirs, and then he said, "Well, I'm for squatters' rights." It's like, okay, that's an engraved invitation to go break into somebody's place and move in. And they won't do anything to you. And everybody knows this in New York now.
Scott McKay, publisher of The Hayride, thehayride.com, senior editor at The American Spectator, and author of the new novel, The Necessary Man. The Necessary Man is the new novel. Scott McKay is the author. Go ahead, Scott.
Dan, real quick. Go check out spectator.org. We're serializing The Necessary Men there right now, and the first installment of it just dropped this morning. It's about a friendly invasion of Cuba, and you guys will absolutely love it.
All right, there it is, The Necessary Man, spectator.org, spectator.org for the serialization version that will wet your whistle to buy the book. Scott McKay, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Have a good one.
You too. And you join us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Dr. Huber with Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Back when the government was suppressing other forms of therapy for COVID and many doctors were being persecuted for stepping up, we felt the absolute necessity to act. That's why I developed Virago during the pandemic, to give people a powerful way to strengthen their immune system and fight back. Since then, feedback from users has shown us that Virago helps with so much more than what we originally anticipated, bringing relief and improvement to people dealing with allergies, asthma, autoimmune diseases by supporting a healthy immune function. Join me Friday, August 28th at Seanfest. Tune in or come by and hear me interviewed by the great Sean Thompson, a true patriot, for a conversation you won't want to miss.
Order your bottle of Virago today. Visit myvirago.com. Use the coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:38, our friend Christian Toto, host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast, argues that you can blame Hollywood for the rise of DSA in America. We'll get his perspective on that through the artistic lens at 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
8:33 coming up on 8:34, and same thing. One day after powerful storms, more development in central Illinois right now, and in fact, even DuPage County is now covered by a severe thunderstorm watch. Storms are drifting our way again over central Illinois, Rockford down to Ottawa right now, and heading our way. Some of those storms hit earlier this morning around 7:15 in the Quad Cities, leaving behind heavy rainfall and high winds. And again, drifting our way down I-88 right now, I-80, and heading west to east, and should be in Aurora in about 1 hour. And cleanup is underway after yesterday's storms hit the Chicago area.
Well, this street was a beautiful street because it had such mature trees, and now our mature trees are just, I don't know, it's like an apocalypse.
ComEd out with trucks this morning at about 145,000 customers without power trying to restore. NIPSCO with a big lift on their hands in northwest Indiana. 281,000 customers in the dark, and one person was killed, according to police and fire in Portage, Indiana.
It seemed that every road had a tree down, every way. There were several officers actually parked about a mile away and ran on foot through neighborhoods trying to get to the home.
Portage Police Chief Michael Candido. Looks like an upset in Wisconsin in the Democrat primary for state governor. Socialist Francesca Hong was favored to win, but multiple outlets say she has been narrowly defeated by Democrat David Crowley.
What I do know is that we are ready to keep fighting, and I feel confident.
Tom Tiffany is the winner of the GOP primary for Wisconsin governor.
The fight is about Wisconsin. So I ask you tonight to stand with me. Stand with me for our fight for lower taxes and good-paying jobs.
Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, Lisa DeMuth, has won the GOP gubernatorial primary in Minnesota. In the GOP Senate race, Michelle Tafoya, an upset winner.
$9 billion poorer thanks to that fraud. Crime rates up, test scores down. Why would anyone think that re-electing either of those women was the answer?
Tafoya will go up against Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan in the general election in November. And this morning, a federal judge is blocking the Postal Service from enforcing a Trump executive order that restricts voting by mail. The order signed in March gives states 60 days before the midterms to provide a list of eligible voters, or the Postal Service will not accept mail-in ballots. Chicago sports. White Sox blew a 3-run lead and fall to the Reds 5-4 in extras. Cubs had a good night, outslugging the Nationals 8-6 in D.C. The news is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free, 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather coming your way next on AM 560.
Scott Jennings sees some advantages this election.
One of them is, after all the redistricting fights, it seems to me the Republicans probably have netted out 10 to 12 seats here. That's number one. Number two, it strikes me that the Democrats in a lot of these purple districts have been nominating candidates who are way outside the mainstream.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives. And MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
You've worked hard for everything you have. Your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn. Tune in Sunday mornings from 11 to 12 for Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, sponsored by Kuhn Capital Partners in Oak Brook.
It's 8:41. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The Kennedy right now outbound between Montrose and Foster Avenue. You're crawling. Accident on the Ike inbound between Gulf and Biesterfield. Stop and go on the Stevenson inbound central to Kedzie. Lakeshore Drive northbound. Accident cleared. Big delays remain. So Lakeshore Drive reopened, but big delays between 57th and 47th are still on the screen. And Tri-State, report of an accident northbound just after half day. Traffic, a service of Staples. It's officially the most wonderful time of the year at Staples, and they've got back-to-school supplies as low as 25 cents, up to 40% off tech. Check out all the deals at staples.com/back-to-school. Staples. That was easy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues after we check the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. We'll have some clouds through the morning, chance of severe thunderstorms in the middle of the day with a high of 83.
Get The latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. It's a collaborative enterprise between the DC Press Corps and the entertainment community, Hollywood specifically, when it comes to deifying some people and vilifying others. So, for example, since Tony Fauci is top of mind, the deification of Tony Fauci started with vilifying anybody who's strayed from the orthodoxy that he was presenting. Here's a classic. CNN's Anderson Cooper, reporting from the news desk, as a reporter is dispatched to find this purveyor of misinformation and disinformation during COVID. Find this Florida doctor named Mercola and bring him to heel.
The Biden administration has come down hard on vaccine misinformation, but one Florida doctor has seemingly gone to great lengths to perpetuate it. 360's Randy Kay now with a story, the hunt to find him, and the reasons behind his actions.
He is the ultimate super spreader, not of the coronavirus, experts say, but of misinformation about COVID-19. His name is Dr. Joseph Mercola.
It is very likely that most people in America, if not the vast majority of people in America, have seen misinformation that has originated with this super spreader of lies and misinformation.
That's exactly why the Center for Countering Digital Hate, a nonprofit tracking misinformation about COVID online, put Dr. Mercola, an osteopathic physician, at the top of its disinformation dozen. A list of 12 people, the group says, were the source for sharing 65% of all anti-vaccine messaging on Facebook and Twitter from February 1st through mid-March. We tried to track down Dr. Mercola to ask him about the misinformation he's been posting, like masks may not work, vaccines could be dangerous, and vitamin C and D can prevent or treat the coronavirus.
Silence that man! Masks may not be effective. Misinformation and disinformation. Remember those days? All of the powers that be allied against anybody asking any questions or pointing out any flaws in the alleged science supporting these mitigations and mandates. Meanwhile, back in Hollywood, this was how Tony Fauci was being feted, almost filleted by the likes of Julia Roberts.
Rad that we have maybe the coolest man on the planet right now. Wow, and there's the room. This is intense. Does anybody else have
Hello. Hi there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, this is such a thrill. How are you?
Pretty good, I guess. It's a little bit like running on fumes for a couple of months, but
I would imagine this is a thrill for me because you truly have emerged.
Yeah, you can imagine how probing and substantive that discussion was after the gasp to see Tony Fauci appear on her screen. Oh, boy. Christian Toto is the host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast. Hollywood in Toto, T-O-T-O, like the little dog in The Wizard of Oz. HollywoodinToto.com. He joins us now. Christian, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Don't forget the band. Don't forget the toilet. There's a lot of Totos running about.
No, that's true. Yes, Toto, great 80s band. Yes. Yeah, I mean, as we're talking about a reckoning over the last couple of weeks after Fauci's invocation of his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination 111 times, talking about the reckoning with the DC Press Corps, but that also includes all of the collaborators with the DC Press Corps, and Hollywood is right there in terms of the vilification of people who ask questions, piling on, and then, of course, the deification and the sentimental silliness, the imagine collaboration, and so forth. I mean, and you write about the Fauci hero worship as indicative of a much bigger problem in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it does tag team with the media for sure. That really must be emphasized. But it's spreading misinformation. And also, celebrities have a lot of clout. I wish that weren't the case, but they do. And they don't do their homework. They just don't do their homework. Listen, there are a few stars who are brighter than the rest, who do the research, who really are passionate about the subjects they cover, maybe even gone to the war-torn places like an Angelina Jolie. But the vast majority just get their marching orders from the press, and the press right now is not doing their job. That's being kind. The more accurate determination is that they're corrupt. And by the way, if I'm Anthony Fauci, I think, so who's the one actor I want to play me? Brad Pitt, the most handsome actor in Hollywood, playing an 80-something man. I mean, just that alone, like I can't forget.
Oh yeah, well, and again, and then we played that clip earlier in the week. Allison Camerata on the CNN news desk, outdoing Julia Roberts in talking, and this isn't the thrust of mandates and people not being able to see their dying relatives and this and that. And they're giggling about Brad Pitt being nominated for a daytime Emmy for his portrayal of Fauci and how much of an honor that was. And do you want to accept the daytime Emmy when he wins it with him? And all this giddy nonsense at the same time that Fauci and those collaborators, those COVIDian collaborators, were like materially decimating people's lives.
Well, let's not forget that I believe it was Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel, and Stephen Colbert were mocking the people who were protesting the lockdowns. These are people who are losing their businesses, who are worried about their next paycheck. People were suffering, and you can argue back and forth. Maybe it's the right idea, maybe it's the wrong idea. I totally get that. But they were getting paid millions to stay in their home, to shoot their shows from their home, and they were mocking people who dared to speak out. And they were mocking people for two reasons. One, they thought they were Trump supporters, and some of them maybe were, but who cares? And also, they believed all the nonsense. They believed everything they were told by the media, had no curious thoughts about maybe even things like taking your mask off when you bite and eat and have sips of water on the plane. Well, wait, are those stupid little chips so important that they couldn't stop serving them on a plane, and maybe you can go without a drink for 2 hours because this deadly virus was floating around? There was so much nonsense supporting this, and you could rally en masse to support BLM, but you couldn't see your dying mother. I mean, just why couldn't the comedians, why couldn't Hollywood just see through some of that? I mean, Adam Carolla did. He was virtually alone in this regard.
Yeah, and if you're like a satirist, if you're like a truly an entertainer, like a Johnny Carson or somebody like that, George Carlin, where you say, wait, so let me understand something. I'm not supposed to be skeptical of these edicts from the government, so where I can take my mask off if I sit down at a restaurant, but if I stand up to go to a restaurant. Stand up in a restaurant to go to the bathroom, for example, I have to put my mask on. So COVID can't get me when I'm sitting, but it can get me when I'm standing in the same fracking place.
It's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing that all went down, and it all went down. And very few comedians would talk about it, would riff on it, would mention it. It's quite shocking. It really is shocking. Jim Breuer was one of the few.
Oh, he was great.
Who did just that.
He was great.
Yeah, he'd had some great, and so. Good on him. Jimmy Dore was another comedian. I haven't exactly enjoyed his recent lurch. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
He made fun of He made fun of the public, saying, "Oh, you can't ask questions, you can't do research." Oh, really? Is that the new model? You just shut up and take it? It's amazing.
So now parallel this, if you think there's a parallel, because I read your piece too, about Hollywood's role in the rise of DSA. Is this just another instance like with COVID where they're, amplifying those who the DC press corps have said should be deified, and as well as those who should be vilified?
I think in this way, it's almost a flip. It's two levels. Late night TV completely ignores these DSA maniacs. They're maniacs. I mean, they're just not well. And their positions are crazy, and it is perfect comic fodder, especially for a political satirist, and they don't touch him. Now, some of the late-night shows are on vacation, some of them have guest hosts, but as soon as they all come back to work, this is going to be the standard model. But there are some, Jimmy Fallon's the world, Jimmy Kimmel's got a bunch of guest hosts. They could be making fun of these people. They're not at all. So there's one part of the DSA socialism mania. But the other part I think is more insidious and more problematic is that where are the stories about socialism, about communism, about how it crushes the spirit, how it crushes humanity, how it crushes money, how it crushes just about everything we hold dear? You don't see movies about Venezuela. You don't see movies about Cuba. You saw The Death of Stalin from, I think it was 2017.
Yes, that was good.
A very good movie and a very rare look at what we're talking about. So listen, a lot of people don't read the headlines or they read them and they forget them. But movies and pop culture and these stories endure. And Hollywood has not told these stories, so they're not enduring. So we're not really aware on a mass level what this kind of ideology brings to the people. It's all terrible, and they're not telling us.
All right, before we let you go, we got to get some recommendations as to what you're watching, good, bad, or ugly. Movies or series, particularly series, looking for one. You know what? Which one? I'll throw this out and see if you watch it. Is why am I blanking on it now? It's sort of like a fictional story based on Fleetwood Mac. You know what I'm talking about? Megan and the Six or something like that.
Oh, I've heard good things about that. I haven't caught that. It's funny. I just recently watched a show that I felt, why am I watching this through every episode? It was the cheesiest, most Netflix show. It was I Will Find You. It's about a man who allegedly killed his young son. He claims he didn't do it. And then an image of the boy, a little bit older, appears, and he has to kind of escape prison. It's the perfect Netflix show because it keeps re-explaining the plot, and it keeps ending on a cliffhanger-like episode. It was the ultimate guilty pleasure. I think it did very well on Netflix, and I understand why. It's good to turn your brain off TV. But that was the last show I watched. I will say there's a new movie coming out this weekend called The End of Oak Street. It's a dinosaur movie, and it is mostly a blast. It's got a couple of scenes that made me laugh out loud. They're that incredibly stupid. But I think for a late summer movie, for a summer blockbuster type, it's pretty good. And it's got a great dinosaur scenes with lots of tension. And it's almost like an ode to Spielberg movies from the early 1980s, sort of that music, that vibe, that suburbia look, that, things are going awry, and it's just like this normal family trying to survive. So I recommend that one with some reservations, but it is fun.
Daisy Jones and the Six is the one I was referencing.
Okay,
yeah, but it's like loosely based on Fleetwood Mac. It's not great, but it's pretty good. So okay, so that's it. The dinosaur movie. Okay, what about John Hamm's new is it a sci-fi movie that's coming out that I've been hearing scuttlebutt about?
I don't know much about that one, honestly. I just saw a picture of him attached to something, but I really haven't been able to investigate it. So I don't think it's coming out super soon, but he's been pretty busy. So, and I like him because he's super good-looking guy, but he does humor quite well. He actually tried to revive the Fletch franchise a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
and he's good. He's got a good. I mean, it's sort of soap opera-y, but he's got a sort of a good fun demeanor in Your Friends and Neighbors, which is there's definitely a level of satire there.
Yeah, and he played himself in the Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass, another movie that just came and went a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That one has some good laughs, very silly, terrific cast, but that'll pop up on VOD or streaming very soon. Worth checking out for sure. It's a little saucy, but it's definitely silly and funny. You know what's
a good spoof movie? And, those are few and far between. It's good in the sense it has enough laughs to make it worthwhile. And it's got like some very good actors that help to round out the cast to keep it. Is The Dink on Apple TV about pickleball? Have you seen that?
I enjoyed that. It's a low key charmer. It's not great, but it's not great. Fun. It's light.
Yeah,
good cast. And I tell you, Mary Steenburgen might be the most underrated actress around. She's just great in everything, and we never really appreciate her.
Mary Steenburgen is terrific, and like she was in Step Brothers, and Ed Harris. Ed Harris is terrific.
Oh. Yeah, playing it super straight. I love that role.
That was good. And then what was else I was going to ask you about? Taylor Sheridan's domination of Hollywood. Are you into The Lioness?
I am not. I've loved most of Tulsa King. I adore Landman, but I haven't caught up all the shows. So tell me if that's worth watching.
I think so. And I think and the first season of Dutton Ranch, sort of the the Yellowstone spinoff, is pretty good too.
Mm.
Yeah,
he is shockingly prolific. Most of the stuff is good, and he will falter at some point, but not quite yet. He's still on a high.
All right, and then I have to get you to weigh in on the debate that rages on for a couple of months now. Christopher Nolan's interpretation of the Odyssey.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fairly flawed in certain ways. I find all of his movies a bit cold, and it's hard to kind of wrap my brain around it because he's so technically precise and he's so talented, and it's such a spectacle, and I certainly recommend it. The IMAX version's great. I just had some issues here and there. The casting is a little distracting, but not a big deal at all. And don't not go for the casting, because even if you dislike the casting a lot, it's a very, very, very small part of the film. And
yes.
I think audiences shouldn't punish movies and shouldn't punish a guy like Nolan, who's really working on a level that many people just can't even get near. And I think it's still worth seeing and still fascinating, and some quibbles here and there for sure.
Yeah, and on the casting piece, he's trying to play by the rules of the game that Hollywood set so he can, win an Oscar.
People dismiss that. I don't dismiss that. It's possible. Also, he's worked with Elliot Page, and they had a connection. You can't discount that as well. But I think he's earned enough goodwill from moviegoers where he hasn't been woke, where he's putting the story and the character and things first, where we shouldn't jump all over him. And I think a lot of our fellow conservatives did just that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Christian Toto, host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast, Hollywood in Toto, TOTO.com, HollywoodInToto.com. Christian, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Oh, had a blast. Thank you.
And he joined us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thank you for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. Be back with more wit and wisdom tomorrow, including, by the way, I'm gonna pull that Jim Brewer clip from COVID, and we'll enjoy that tomorrow. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
She finished